I get my notes up, actually.
Yeah, don't worry. My show notes won't be that bad.
You suck at brevity.
Will, I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock you to your core.
A man named... Oh, never mind.
Noticed. I don't know how to turn
You
it
see, a man named William Shakespeare once said, "Brevity is the soul of wit." This just means don't waste my fucking time.
Okay, Mike's the classic.
Yeah.
But I agree with it 100%.
Let me,
Get mic'd up. Meanwhile,
Bricked up.
I said mic'd up.
No. What did you say last night? You said something about Brickster.
Oh yeah, I wrote it down.
Is your thing just no?
Oh no, I put 00000. So like, no matter what I make list.
It's the first
My
thing to
notes
show
are in
up.
alphabetical order.
So
if
it's the
you're
first thing to show up.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I said you can tell how bad he's stemming based on the Brickster scale.
And then I said the Brickster scale is just 0 to 10 Bricksters.
Are we planning to have an intro?
Yeah, this is it.
I have no idea what the...
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've been recording. Anyways,
We can't keep doing this.
No, Ryan. The intros have to make sense to somebody.
then come up with one.
I know none of you listen. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to lose my... A minute 45.
I haven't been in here for 6 months, and we're just gonna start off like that?
Hey, look, it's Will. Anyway.
Yes, hi, I've returned. I'm back from the dead.
He's back from the polar vortex.
Yeah.
He was on a Janine Garofalo's special exposition.
Please speak English. Please speak English. We can't record this show if I don't know what you're talking about. I hate this. I hate when you do this.
Shut up.
Welcome to MoonFriends.
Welcome to the friendly moons.
I'm actually panicking. Why do you think I'm kidding? You're not kidding.
Alright, fine. I'll start with an intro, okay? Here we go. On a great Sunday that turned out to be at least 7 out of 10 at best.
It's okay. We'll keep the intro. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay.
This is why I don't do intros. This is because you always shut mine down, and then I'm questionable about yours, and Will's here. Anyway.
I better...
My big gulp is no longer big.
I got best like a big gulp's worth left of gulp.
Okay.
Anyways.
Welcome to the MoonFriends podcast. We all saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and in doing so, I have seen it the 3rd time. And perhaps even further today, I will be seeing it a 4th time.
Well, okay, so like the original release, you can play Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and in Origins, they added Amy, so like, at least each playthrough can be a little different, you know, you have the different movesets.
You're not funny, and you can go on. Anyways, so, we watched Sonic 3, and I would like to categorize the day, though, that on this day, we also, in the minutes before... Well, in like
The minutes before.
an hour before noon, we watched Polar Express.
That's 11 o'clock.
Yes, for...
Wrong side of your shirt.
No, I'm like pulling this.
Oh, okay. I thought you were pulling the...
He doesn't know light from left. He doesn't know the existence of the number
He doesn't
11.
know like from cleft. He doesn't know cleft from cleft. Shut your mouth. And anyway, we walked out of the Sonic 3 theater, and I'm gonna fire the first shot now. Will, you said the Polar Express was better than Sonic 3. Elaborate, please.
We're getting into it this early.
Okay.
I'm starting
No.
fresh on this fucking show.
I will die on this hill.
On a serious note, I think, fuckheads, we should talk about what we think of each movie in a little bit of detail
Fair enough.
before we get into the weeds about our arguments. We go over the bullet points first.
We're gonna squabble later.
We will squabble.
Let's talk about Sonic 3 first, so that the 4 viewers we only ever have don't immediately leave. I need this.
Hi, Jordan. I know you're listening.
My check was $600 short.
I need that
I
sweet
looked
YouTube
at a
gift.
bag of trail mix today. It was $2. And I said, I don't know about this. Ryan, would you like to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
I would love
Paramount?
to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So how do you
We're on
want
the cusp of just losing it, and we're like, what? Not even
On the cusp.
10 minutes.
He lost it the second.
I'm in season 4.
Oh my gosh, it has been 4 years technically since we started this.
It has.
Wow.
Oh wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because we started in 2021. I think
But almost 4 years. Technically, it would be like June or May since we technically started, but
And it's all come down to this. Gerald Robotnik is played by Jim Carrey. It was all leading to this. I understand now.
This is the ultimate. This is the final boss of MoonFriends, basically.
it's one of the many
Yes.
of this season.
Mm.
But how do I even go into this? Like, so what should I just? Should it be like I should list my pros and cons and then just kind of like?
I would say give us your brief thoughts on Sonic 1 and 2 to better elaborate on your opinion of Sonic 3. And then however you want to go about that is fine. But like just to give full context.
I rewatched bits from Sonic 1 and 2. I did not sit through the entire movies. I'm not going to pretend I did that. But
You'd have to be a sucker to do that.
I rewatched my favorite bits, and I remember basically all that was in the movies. It's not like that's lost on me. I remember the first Sonic movie. I was just amazed that there was a Sonic movie.
Yeah.
I was amazed.
That's fair.
And I was amazed that it wasn't terrible.
That's so fair.
Oh, like, because, you know, up until I would say, like, Detective Pikachu, maybe, video game movies weren't really a high commodity. And after Detective Pikachu and Sonic, I see a lot more, like, there's the Fallout show, and there's a lot more video game thing, and like they
The Witcher show, the Mario movie, the Castlevania series.
there's I think there's a Halo one too, a Halo show.
Yeah.
But there was a number of them, and I don't want to say that this started it, but I think it definitely helped.
Yeah.
And may I just remind you all that we could be living in a universe of Ugly Sonic right now that made $20,000 and flopped terribly.
Yeah.
That could have been our alternate future, and we're on the better side of things. I think
Humanity is better for it.
But now we'll never get that Ugly Sonic OnlyFans account.
What are you talking about? Someone can just make that in AI.
I would prefer if someone made it with technique.
The real question is, Drew, why do you want that?
Yeah.
Not because I would enjoy it, but because I would enjoy
Fucking
hating
furry.
it. That is okay. I have listen.
I'm kidding.
Even I have standards.
And yet you're talking about an Ugly Sonic OnlyFans.
But it's not okay.
We're not even 10 minutes in.
But
Don't give me the
so
side eye.
Sonic 1 was a basic origin plot of, you know, just Sonic doing his thing up until the point where he settles into having a family. That was the basic plot of Sonic 1. I enjoyed it enough. I gave it like a 5 out of 10. Like, it was a perfectly acceptable plot.
Average.
Just average, because, like, I mean, Jim Carrey didn't look anything like Eggman, but I was willing to buy it for that movie because I was mostly just impressed with how they portrayed Sonic well.
Oh, jeez.
But, so it was a basic Sonic origin plot, and, again, 5 out of 10, that was fine. The Sonic 2, significantly better, in my mind. I enjoyed Idris Elba as Knuckles. I still do. And just a lot more weirdness all around, which I'm more acceptable with the Sonic franchise going in. And I accepted that they kind of made their own plot around, like, the Chaos Emeralds and everything, and they were just kind of coming up with shit just for the movie stuff in general, which I was fine with.
Because some things just work better in a movie script.
Yeah, because you can't have a literal scene where they go around chasing all the emeralds and shit. It's like, it doesn't fucking work in a movie format.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would say I was still most excited for was the inevitability of Shadow. So when I heard that at the end of the movie, I was very excited. And even without Shadow, I would say I gave that movie like a good 7 out of 10, because I pretty much enjoyed it. All the little nods and references, like you get the whole pose of them standing there, it kind of looks like Sonic Heroes. You get the Sonic 06 like foot tap on the robot to make it like fall.
Yeah.
The Genesis callback and the manual thing.
Yeah, Will.
You want to pause for that, Will?
This is the time for your drug addiction.
Oh, it's a tissue.
It's a tissue.
Yeah,
Okay.
to wipe the cocaine from under your nose.
What's it, Carrie Fisher? Anyways.
The next in line.
What, you don't know who Carrie Fisher is?
No, I know. I'm just saying. Why? Just continue.
She does cocaine. She used to, but
She's
Fisher, I hardly know her.
anyways, getting to Sonic 3. I will say there was some trepidation from me on the account of seeing the trailers and realizing that Gerald was just going to be another Jim Carrey.
In this heady flesh.
Which you can't even say was the worst part about that.
Of his performance as Gerald?
Yeah.
When he said it in the theater, I felt nothing. It was everything else that pissed me off. You're
Yeah.
completely right.
Exactly. And I was just like, but there was some trepidation just based on how the trailers portrayed him. And so I we'll get to that, but like, I'm going to categorize my enjoyment of this movie as 6 leaning on 7, because I mean, it's no lie. I grew up with SA2. I'm a sucker for Sonic Adventure, and it felt like everything I wanted as a kid was on screen. You know, the Sonic cast doing cool stuff, just them involved in a plot to save the world. And I think the more realistic setting, while it doesn't work for everybody, it works for me, because that's kind of what I always fantasized about growing up, but that was just my fantasies.
Like incredible things happening in the world.
Well, just like characters coming into the real world, like rather than them just being animated. Like I never envisioned myself as like an animated character or anything like that. When I would always play pretend, I always imagined like, oh, they come from the cartoon world into the real one and stuff like that. That was just my thing growing up.
I can understand that perspective, but I know what you're talking about. Like when I was a kid, I would like daydream. I would think in a similar way, but when I'm thinking, oh wow, what if they made a movie of this? It's like completely different for me. It's so weird that for you there's like an overlap in that.
You know what definitely also helped it was Sonic 06 for me. Because that is easily the Sonic game with the most real settings.
Yeah.
It is definitely like...
There's like a realism to like the textures and like the landscapes.
Well, like, yeah, just the stages. Like, there's Kingdom Valley, there's White Acropolis, there's...
Wave Ocean. Yeah, because Wave Ocean...
They're all places that could logically exist, compared to like when you see a loop-de-loop in Sonic and you're like, who the fuck's meant to go on?
Yeah, and you have like the checkered ground and like the early 3D palm trees. Because Wave Ocean, it's a fantastical beach, but it looks like a beach.
Yeah. It doesn't look like anything that would be like super enhancement enriching. Like there's nothing super special about it other than, yeah, it's a beach. Like,
it's so weird. Like, I understand all of the words you're saying, but the sentences in context don't... Like, I can't compute. Like,
sorry.
This is his vision for Sonic. It's like...
I wouldn't say it's my vision. I'm just saying I'm more easily adaptable to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because obviously, like, in this transition, everyone had a different idea about Sonic, given that we have now an ugly Sonic. They were like, let's make him super real. It's like, no, we still need a bit of that animated touch.
Yeah.
We still need a bit of that. So, like, that's the level to where I'm accepting it, because it's like, yeah, I don't want him to look like a realistic creature.
But the model they have now, it looks good. It just looks like Sonic with realistic texture. That's it.
And separated eyes.
Yeah, but like his proportions all look good.
Yeah.
His face looks good.
All the characters that are CG look good. They finally clean them all up. And so that to me, that doesn't bother me in the movies. The biggest thing that I will say does bother me, and we're gonna get into it eventually, is Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I don't see I don't see what studios see. Like, I get kind of where they're coming from, but I don't see like why him specifically. We can get into that later, but I'm just listing my pros and cons. Or not my pros and cons, it's just kind of like my summary of the movies. But like, I overall, I would say I was more accepting of Sonic 3 than you both were.
Yeah. Now, real quick, I don't know if you're actually putting stock into the service, just like something you said by mistake. But you said Sonic 2 was like a 7 out of 10, and this maybe scored a little less. And if I have to use my psychic powers by opening my third eye, I would say that if you thought of Sonic 2 as a little better, you would say it's because the climax isn't butchered in half by scenes of Gerald spanking Eggman.
I would say that definitely helps with it. I would also say that that's not the big crux of that. I would say that the threat feels real in that movie compared to the threat here, which is kind of like two goofy people.
Yeah.
Kind of like play fighting almost.
See, I don't know if I want to get into the weeds too deep, because we still have to go over what I think and what Will thinks, but I feel like this is a good time to bring that point specifically up. So, wait, is it still recording?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just moving.
Will, get your foreskin off of that. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No. No, I left that there.
So, this was like the one time we talk about SA2, and will have 30% an idea of what we're talking about for once.
If that.
You will. So when Eggman shoots a laser at the moon in SA2, it's because, hey, I'm firing up this cannon for the first time, and then, like, you know, he's on, like, all the TVs.
He wants to demonstrate it to the world.
He wants to demonstrate his power to the world, not because he wants to destroy the world, but because he wants to, like, goad them into giving him what he wants. He shoots the moon as a threat because no one lives on the moon.
Yeah. What did he want, anyways, from the game?
He wanted to rule the world.
He just wants to rule the world. Okay. It's always pretty generic.
Yeah.
He wants to rule it, not destroy it.
His threat is basically, if you don't give me what I want, I might destroy the world, which is kind of more of a bluff.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Which is why he teams up with the heroes at the end of the game to stop the colony from crashing into the Earth, because, like, oh, this isn't what I want. If the Earth is destroyed, there's no world to rule.
Yeah.
But it's so weird, of, like, all the things I would have expected to be in the movie, like, kind of beat for beat, I really thought it would be that. During the climax, when I think it's Tails and Eggman are, like, trying to push the laser, like, out of the way, they end up cutting the moon.
Yeah, they do.
So, like, the visual's there, but the context is so completely changed. And I feel like in the movie they did it because, like, oh, well, the fans will get that. Yeah. Isn't that cool? And I kind of understand it, because in the movie they give the context that, like, this is the first time they're firing up the laser, it has 10 minutes to start, and that's when Sonic and Shadow have to hurry up.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed the context for it to make sense, but in, like, a meta way, like, this is how the script came out. It doesn't make sense. I don't know why they even bothered hitting the moon in the first place. They probably should have just left it alone.
I mean, it was seen as an accident, honestly.
But the whole point is that it's not an accident.
I know. That's why I was confused by that.
I feel like any other time they've changed something from the games and adapted it to the movie for, like, a writing reason, it's made sense and it's worked out. Here, it's not like it's a bad scene or anything, but I don't know, like, it doesn't inform us anything about Eggman's character, because by that point his arc is about to complete. Mm-hmm. He's trying to do something good.
Yeah.
Again, I know I'm getting into the weeds, but we're going to get into the weeds about everything anyway. I wanted to bring that up before I forgot.
Just I have my own comments on it, but go on.
Well, I'm done saying my piece on it.
Okay. Well, so now, is it Will, or?
I'll let Will go because I just had my first temper tantrum of the day.
Well, I'm saying, like, okay, hold on. I'm curious because before Will goes, what is your feel of the overall movie?
Okay, so remember when I said my opinion was objectively correct and you're like, yeah, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
This is where you figure out what I'm talking about. And I think you'll stop staring daggers at me in a minute.
Okay. Hold on, wait. Before you do this, Will, any last words?
So honor being with you, and honor being on this podcast.
The one dying!
No, but by proxy, I may use you as a bludgeoning tool to bludgeon him. So...
What about the...
You have an axe right there.
Oh, there, yeah. Am I always sitting behind it? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Not always. Sometimes you're sitting against that side of the wall.
See, but then I'm facing the cum stains on your bed. It's like, pick your poison.
You fart.
I will allow it this once.
I did that unintentionally.
You can keep it in the show.
Okay.
It may be his last, so you know.
Because it might be the last. Yeah, okay.
The end of the season.
See, and I avoided drinking anything carbonated. You saw I got this like orange mango juice thing.
Yeah.
I said no coffee, no carbonated drinks, no tea even, nothing with caffeine. I picked this thing. Does this have sugar?
Does it?
Oh, fuck.
Whatever, we all needed our boost, but...
Okay, so Sonic 1, I was like, this really isn't for me. It's not horrible, and I see some good in it, but I just don't know why we need Sonic and the Chipmunks. I don't know why we need Smurfs 2015 with Sonic.
Oh.
I'm good. That's how I felt about it.
That's flashbacks.
That's how I felt about it.
Well,
like, there's good in here, but this is unnecessary to me as a Sonic fan.
Before you go, can I ask Will first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you asked me first.
I did. I actually want to hear Will's first because I think yours might go in depth and actually solve a lot of problems.
That's true. That's true.
So I want to hear Will's opinion first. So Will, as you did not see Sonic 1 or 2.
No.
And you're coming into this completely blind.
Yes, I was.
You have never seen a Sonic in your life.
I have never. I did not know what a Sonic was.
Have you actually played a Sonic game?
No.
All the more better, so...
I do not know what a Sonic or an Eggman it was. And,
so based on this movie, what can you say? What was your feelings on this movie about characters you know nothing about?
Knuckles.
Well, that's most movies, though. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Knuckles is best boy.
Yeah.
Tails is cute.
Yeah.
Sonic is annoying at times.
Yeah.
I like Shadow.
Yeah.
And I hate Jim Carrey.
Yeah, all right. We're kind of on the same page.
So, like, I don't know. I was...
That's the cast.
I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting much. You know, just from the whole, I guess, concept of it, because I know that video game movies don't tend to be that good. But I had, like, a bit of hope. I was like, you know, I'm not going to be negative going into this. I'm just going to be like, hey, I'm going to watch it. We'll see what happens. And I haven't seen the first two. What happens? I came out, and I was like... Yeah, that was an movie that I did not like. And, I mean, you remember, like, when I just kind of went away and I started staring at, like, that self-playing piano, and you just asked, like, are you okay? I was just like, no.
Oh, yeah, the iconic self-playing piano.
Yeah.
At the theater we went to.
At the theater, yeah.
And
I just needed something to just, like...
You zoned out.
Yeah.
Is it that you did not like the story or the characters, or do you is it more that you feel like an apathy, like you don't care?
I mean, I don't want to say I don't care. I feel like it's a bit from column A, a little bit from column B. There's issues with the story that I have, and also issues with the characters that I have as well.
Okay.
We'll get into details about that later and stuff like that, but like this is just my overall general consensus. I think I gave it like, what did I give it, like what, 3 or 4?
Yeah, you said like 3 or 4.
3 or 4 out of 10. So yeah, I was not a fan of it at all. There were some good bits. I won't lie. There were some good bits. There were some bits that like were just kind of so ridiculous that it was funny. Commander Wallace.
The whole Chow Garden scene.
Oh, that was good. But yeah, it's like like I said, I have my own opinions. We'll get into the details later, but I personally did not like it. I did not care for it.
Okay.
We'll get into the issues of that, the crux of the issues later after Drew is dead.
Well, we'll see. We'll see based on the opinions.
Literally over my dead body.
Yeah.
Just put the mic in my mouth.
10 hours of dead Drew ASMR.
It's just silence.
You just hear like muscles creaking as they lock from rigor mortis.
It's like a little
Sound
fly.
of flies.
A fly just kind of goes like.
This is a good time to say I'm so glad I have friends that care about me. The only thing is, I wish they were here with us.
Yeah, let's say. Let's say, who are you talking about right now?
Well,
My gosh.
I see the light coming, and it's hard to remember specifics. Mom, are you there?
She's still alive.
It's me, Commander Wallace. Have you tried Olive Garden's Never Ending Pasta Bowl? It never ends.
Had to get that one out of your urethra before you started, huh?
Sonic 1, again, I saw some good in it. Like, but not so much like, oh, like, wow, the good things here are really good. Just like, yeah, I expect a movie to be better than nothing or completely bad. And yeah, there are things in this movie that are better than nothing or completely bad. But it doesn't make me any interested in Tom or Maddie or Green Hills, Montana, or whatever.
I will say that Tom and Maddie, those are the humans.
Yeah.
I will say about like a quarter, probably like halfway a quarter through the movie, I legitimately forgot they existed.
We're gonna get into that.
I like they came back to us like,
That's
oh,
by design.
I was like, oh yeah, these people are here. Who are you again?
We will talk about that later,
Okay.
I promise you.
Yeah.
It is one of my 39 bullet points.
You think he's lying? I am looking at his notes right now. It is approximately.
If you're looking at 1/10 of them.
Yeah, it's like.
They're not bullet points, it's just paragraphs. I have like these are like actual.
Are you sure you're not gonna like publish them as like a college thesis?
No. College thesis on this? I'd be banned from academia.
My scientific thesis on the Sonic 3 movie. And then someone walks up to you and is like, he's really doing it in the saggy flesh.
I want you to die for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Moving on.
Speaking of wanting to die, Sonic 2. See, Sonic 2.
Okay, that's an exaggeration.
I know I take forever to explain things, but by the end you will understand.
I'm just gonna, but don't be surprised if I say, fucking keep it rolling and stop.
That's fine.
Pausing.
At least for this segment, that's a good thing. Sonic 2, I have really mixed feelings on, but ultimately it veers towards negative. This is just something that like I've discovered about me, and like I can't change it for a reason. But if hypothetically I'm looking at like 2 movies or 2 games, any kind of like media experience, and one of them is like kind of boring and uninteresting, and or completely bad, but the other has a decent chunk of really cool things in it, bogged down by like highly contrastive, really bad stuff. I'm gonna hate the second one more, even more. There's more gold to mine from it, because like sometimes I guess I'm an all or nothing guy. Like, if you're gonna get my hopes up, don't shoot them down. Does that make sense? Because like in Sonic 2, like, yeah, like Sonic's characterization, while very different from the games, was good in the first movie, and they expand on that in the second, and Tails is great and Knuckles is great, and some of the stuff with Eggman's cool. The action's really good, you know, like the general writing of the story, like the character arcs, I think is pretty good. But then like, oh, okay, so Tom and Maddie are back at the resort, and oh, this Rip Tom guy is ashamed of why are we doing this? I don't need this. And every time something like that came up in Sonic 2, especially, I think maybe more so than the other 2 films, I was like, I still don't know why this is really here. And this is what we were talking about on the show. It's like, you're like glass half full, and I'm glass half empty. For me, if that water looks really good, but there's all that empty air, I kind kind of wish the glass wasn't there because you're just making me thirsty. And I wish there was more. But there's not enough here for me to crave it. I'd rather just leave it alone and go find something else, even if I have to walk through the desert for 10 years. It doesn't make... I know it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't know why I'm like this, but I can't rewire my brain.
We'll get into it. Go on.
So, Sonic 3... It was a really weird experience. For months, I had completely set my expectations. I saw the trailer and I saw Shadow and I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool. And then I saw Gerald and in the saggy foot, and I'm I'm gonna hate it, and that's fine. And I accept that I'll hate it. Okay, I'm probably just not gonna like the movie. And that's how I was, Brian, for a year.
I know.
We go into... Yeah, I'm sure you know.
I had to hear it for a year.
And I apologize. But that makes this all the more interesting. Because we go into the theater, and I'm like, yep, this is going to be the best 3 out of 10 experience of my life. At least I'm here with my friends. We're just hanging out. And the first act of the movie, I was really into Sonic 3. Really into it. There was something about, I thought the pacing was really snappy. Like, things were never slowing down. You get a little bit of everything. You get a little bit of Tom and Maddie. You get a little bit of, like, Sonic and his friends. A little bit of Tokyo and Commander Walters and Shadow and Prison Island. It had a really good flow. All the action was good. The jokes, I thought, like, the humor, if I had to describe it in the trilogy, especially Sonic 1 and 2, I would say it's quippy, and quippy to me is like what I think of in my head when I think of like when people complain about Marvel humor, like the worst case scenario, like when people joke like, oh man, so it's like the Fast and the Furious, right? Because like with Vin Diesel,
many references to other media.
Yeah, and Sonic 1 and especially I think Sonic 2, they have like a lot of that. The humor wasn't like that to me. In the beginning of Sonic 3, I thought it was a lot more like character-based rather than reference-based. And when it was a reference, it felt a little more natural. That could all be in my head, I don't know. Point is, I really liked Act 1. And then Act 2, you get that scene of Eggman and Gerald meeting for the first time. And it stretches on. It feels like, I think it's probably like literally a 4 or 5 minute scene. And it's because I especially don't like Jim Carrey's sense of humor. It's just not for me. It's like, okay, the life is kind of seeping out of me, but we'll get back to the good stuff.
Yeah.
But then I started noticing like more negatives. Like the things I didn't like about the first 2 films, I felt like they were popping in more after the first act. And Jim Carrey, I think, was the worst of it. And that's when like all that negativity started pushing the positivity out of my head. And the climax is the worst of it. If I have to say one thing about Sonic 3, I think the climax is the best and the worst part of the movie, but that makes it the worst part of the movie. Because the good parts are so good that when it cuts back to Eggman and Gerald, it's 2 Jim Carreys jerking themselves off over how funny they are. It's like we can't just have a good finale for this.
Yeah.
We can't just reel it back a bit with the humor. And I walked out of the theater like I've wasted my time. I got my hopes up. I don't know why I let the movie get my hopes up in the first act. I set my expectations and they got up anyway. And I felt miserable.
Wow.
And I hated the fucking trilogy, and I hated Paramount, and I hated Sonic, and I asked myself, why do I even care about Sonic in the first place? Why do I still keep up with this blue fucking rat if my expectations are always shot down? And then something weird happened.
Here we go.
I was making show notes at home, and I was hearing what other people had to say. And I knew everyone on YouTube would be so positive, because everyone was so positive about Sonic 2. And I was like, okay, I at least want to understand where these people are coming from. A bit of where Ryan's coming from. and I'm hearing everyone rave about what they loved about Sonic 3. And I agreed with them completely. I agreed with all the positives, which, sure, that made sense. That wasn't too surprising. Of course I like Shadow and, the stuff with, like, Maria, her backstory. And of course I love the action scenes. Shadow on the motorcycle, Sonic chasing. Of course it's all good. But I started appreciating the positives way more. Like, I was getting excited thinking about my memories of watching those scenes in the movie. And I was like, what? Hold on, this feels way different. And I think it was because I didn't have to sit through the bad stuff. Like, I wasn't watching the movie again, but it was the reminiscence about the better parts.
Yeah.
And then over the course of the next couple days, because there was a week between then and now, I keep making show notes. And while my opinions on the bad parts of the movie haven't changed, really, like, I still feel negative about them, my focus on the positive elements of the film have helped me better understand the potential reasons behind why things are the way they are in Sonic 3. And it helped me better accept why the negatives are there. And then I said, this is where that joke comes in from 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You didn't rewatch Sonic 1 and 2. I did. Because I was like, my perspective on this is changing. Is my opinion gonna change on the first two films? And they fucking did. I'm Scrooge. I went through a Christmas Carol character arc. I'm mean and crotchety at the beginning, and then the Ghost of Christmas Past is like 5 minutes. And I'm like, fine, okay, but hurry it up. And I'm him now. I'm nice, and I give the little kid some money. I kind of fuck with the movies now.
Really?
I kind of fuck with them. I still have my negatives.
Yeah.
I still don't like what I already didn't like, and I still like what I already do. And that kind of paradigm hasn't shifted much. But I like what I liked before way more, and I'm more accepting of this trilogy's existence.
I remember when we left, you gave it a similar rating that I did. Like
I said 3 or 4. I was like, completely. And I don't feel that way anymore, though.
What's your rate it now?
I think that's coming up. But
I'm just curious.
This is the
since you said like
answer.
a
so like
change of heart.
It's hard for me to quantify it because I'm so mixed on things as a whole. But like, I'll tell you this much: when I walked out of the theater, I don't remember if I said this out loud, but I felt like I never wanted to even watch 5 minutes of any of these movies ever again.
You said something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched Sonic 1 and I liked it. I rewatched Sonic 2. I dipped out in some of the little, the middle when like they're at the resort. But like Act 3 started kind of pulling me back in. Sonic 3, I feel like I want to see it again.
Really?
I've been heavily considering it for days, which I think says something.
You have the option today.
I don't know if I'll take you up on it today.
Okay.
But
look, okay, can I just say, so when you explain it like you just did, I feel like you had a point. When you went back and started watching Sonic movie 1 and 2, what would you say, if anything, either changed or solidified your opinion?
So, when I was listening to everyone rave about what they loved about Sonic 3 the most, when I was going back to watching what everyone loved about Sonic 3, the thing they were emphasizing the most is how good Sonic was and how good Knuckles and Shadow was. And I had heard that before when I was listening to positive reviews of Sonic 2. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Ryan, I think, was talking about this as well. And I felt this before, like I didn't have any problems with it, but now I feel so much more than just lukewarm on it. Because I think I said in the Sonic 2 review, like, yeah, Knuckles is acting like Knuckles and the action's cool, but this is the bare minimum I expect from a Sonic movie. And that's still true. That is the bare minimum I expect. But there's something about seeing it in like an expensive film production that's like, for the other things that I can say I feel went wrong or feel out of place, this does feel like the heart of the movie. Like, this is the reason Sonic fans are gonna watch these movies, is at least the Sonic characters are cool, and for the most part, they're acting like themselves, and things feel natural. And for what it's worth, I think, like, if someone doesn't know anything about Sonic, like Will, even if he doesn't come out of the movie liking it, I think you can understand, at least even a little bit, why we like Shadow, why we like Tails, why we like Knuckles, why we like Sonic.
It's all portrayed in the movie.
With their personalities. And it's not that they're super deep or whatever. That's kind of the whole point, is they aren't. But they have a little bit of personality, and they have like cool aesthetics, and sometimes that simple combo is just enough to get you hooked, especially when you're a child.
I can't agree with that. I can see the appeal. It's just not for me, really.
No, that's fair.
For sure, but I think as long as you can at least understand why a kid would be into Sonic, I think the film has completed its primary goal. Because it's not going to be for everybody. But if in that sense, in that one way, if it can at least do that for a Sonic fan, then maybe that is kind of like the heart of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me to kind of look at like, well, okay, if people are calling this like the heart of the film, then it kind of makes sense that like the film would be centered around it, right? And that's what made me want to rewatch Sonic 1. So like, as an example, okay, so like, why Tom though? Because Tom, especially in the first movie, and this carries through, but it's the most prominent in Sonic 1 because like Sonic and Tom are deuteragonists because it's a buddy cop movie. It's a buddy road trip movie. So they kind of share, I think, a similar amount of screen time. And Tom is so milquetoast. He has a little bit of personality, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So it's like, why is he so kind of boring and lame? Why doesn't he have a character arc? Those were like the two questions I was asking myself. And I was like, well, okay, Drew, think about it like this. The movie's about Sonic. And what they want to do is they want to show that Sonic's a cool character. And they succeed in Sonic 1, and I've always thought that. But now I'm thinking like, well, how does that fit into everything else? And you can say this is my headcanon, or maybe we'll find proof of this, maybe it's already out there in interviews. But the way I thought about it was, Tom is boring because of course you're not going to see the movie for him. James Marsden is a good actor, and he does a good job with Tom. I'm not saying he did a bad job, but the script, I think, intentionally makes him less interesting because they don't want your attention competing for one or the other. Sonic is the obvious appeal.
He's the straight man to Sonic.
He's the straight man, he's the audience surrogate, and there's not really a need to flash him up more. So his personality is, he's a nice guy, he helps people out, and he's got a dorky sense of humor. Like when he's like doing back and forth with like Robotnik, like he's got that confidence and it never really goes anywhere. And that's about all the like interesting humor or like personality you're gonna get out of him, and that's the fucking point.
The other thing I wanted to say, just to throw this in there, was he is meant to fill a role for Sonic, not just as like a buddy. It's also, as we see in the later movies, it's meant to fill like a familial role, where
right,
it's like
mentor.
he's basically mentoring Sonic to be like, you need to be responsible, you need to be on the up and up. Like, listen, I get it, I'm not going to be able to control you or your powers, like that's all you, but like you got to be careful. Like,
make good choices. That was the whole shtick of the third movie.
Yeah, and that carries through. It's a through line with Sonic's character arc.
So it's like, it's also like a family connection overall, which is like just a tiny bit of weaving that in.
But that's the thing, Will, is you may not be aware of this, but the idea of Sonic having a character arc outside of like shows or comics, like in the games, Sonic having a character arc is unheard of because he's not that kind of character. Sonic is Mario in a lot of senses, where he's just an adventurer. Yeah, like I guess that's a good way to put it. I didn't want to see Superman because even Superman's had arcs, But like, I think of Superman when I think of Sonic, in that like, what the character represents is very strong. I think Mario might be kind of better.
Just as far as like adventuring. Just
yeah,
because,
like the focus is on what they go through and not their personality.
Yeah.
You don't think about the implications of how much Mario loves to jump. You can hear it in his voice, but you don't think about it because it's not the point. The point is the obstacle courses he's going through, the princess he's saving. You don't think about the specifics.
Yeah.
Sonic definitely is better with like emotional storytelling, and they tell stories with other characters, but Sonic is usually at the heart, and he is more there to represent freedom and justice and benevolence and that kind of like carefree attitude. He's representative. He is not a character that goes through arcs. Now, when we were talking about Sonic 2, you were like, well, you know, he had like, the reason they changed Sonic's character was so that a story can be told. And I understood that, and I accepted it, but I didn't appreciate it at the time. Because I felt like I was so focused on the negatives, right? I was like, you can have that, but why is it in Montana?
Also, as like as an inherent, you know, Sonic fan, you're like, well, that's not the point of Sonic's character.
Right.
Like, but that's the point of the movie. It's like,
right.
In a movie, you have to make a character.
And I could appreciate that they gave him a character arc and they made him more like a young teen that has learning to go through, and I thought that was fine, but I didn't understand why they did it in this way. And then I went back to the first movie and I realized the reason that Sonic has to be a kid is because, one, he's an alien, so he needs Tom there to like teach him how Earth works. Like, I know he grows up for 10 years in the cave and he kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, while they're on the road,
well, so
Tom
also
has to anchor him down.
There's also like, I think, a very clever side plot of like adding emotion to even his familial stuff, which is like he's lost someone.
Yeah, Sonic is. Oh yeah, you don't know this. So
well, it's no.
They did talk about it in the third movie for a second, but
so there's a. Do you remember the owl painting that Sonic had against the wall?
He's not gonna remember.
In his cave.
Yeah. Sonic is from another planet. His mom died. She gave him the bag of teleportation rings and said, "Just keep running, and go be safe. There's no time."
And his mother was basically
Sonic
a giant.
takes a teleportation ring, and he just happens to end up in Earth, and he's an orphan. So he grows up hiding
in that
cave, and he just, you know, he's got like a washing machine treadmill and comic books to keep him entertained, and because of his
which were all
speed,
the Flash.
Yeah, because of his super speed,
tracks.
he's like he spies on people because he's bored, really because he's lonely, but he tells himself it's because he's bored. So he like knows everyone in the town, but he likes Tom because like he's a nice guy. He always helps people out. He always helps out the wildlife because there's nothing to do as a cop in a small town.
Plus, he likes to tease Tom because in the first movie, there's probably one of my favorite bits is Sonic. Tom's doing like the traffic cop thing where you like stand by with the speedometer.
Yeah.
Sonic runs by it, and Tom's like, and then Sonic goes behind. And he's like, "Oh, new score!" Like,
that's actually good. That's good.
No, I like that part
And
about
that's where the first movie comes from. Is no, this isn't. When people say this isn't Sonic, I get where they're coming from, but like, yeah, if he's the main character, he does kind of need an arc. You can tell a movie where the main character doesn't have an arc and everyone around him does. You can do that, but it's much less approachable. And when Paramount says we want Sonic and the Chipmunks for 6-year-olds and 66-year-olds, this is the compromise the writers have to make. But for having to make that compromise, they make it work because the films, I think, consistently have good writing.
Which I tried to acknowledge early on. You were like, no.
I didn't really think of it as bad writing, but
it's not always good
I wasn't
writing.
thinking of the writing period because I was focused on why are we stuck with the concept? Why did they make this production? The script was fine.
Sorry if I keep kicking someone's foot under the table.
That's well.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Just don't fucking do it again. I'm kidding.
It was easier to think about what I thought of the writing when I went back to it and I was thinking about things more carefully, and it's like, yeah, Sonic is an outsider and he's an orphan and he's young, and he needs to learn, and he needs someone with less powers to teach him responsibility, but also to protect. So for all those reasons, Tom's there. But like I said earlier, you know, on top of that, like, you don't want him, like, to hog up the screen time with a personality as dynamic as Sonic's. That's why Tom's boring. And that is where I finally get to your point, where, like, Tom and Maddie don't do anything in Sonic 3. Because in Sonic 1, it's, like, again, I think it's, like, equal screen time between Sonic and Tom. But it's all for Sonic's character arc. Tom doesn't go through an arc in the movie. Sonic does.
No, he does.
Barely.
Tom goes through the arc of he wants to be the big city cop. He wants to be the big honcho, but like ultimately everyone's like, well, Green Hills is gonna miss you. And he's like, I don't give a shit about Green Hills.
Oh, it's called Green Hills.
Yeah.
The area they live in.
Of course
yes.
it is.
But
Okay.
see, my thing is, like, yes, he goes through an arc, and yes, he gets his wish.
He has
but
a tiny arc.
It doesn't end up mattering. Like,
No,
it plays a role in, like, how events carry out, but there's not an emotional point to what happens later.
No, but just for the sake of tying everything together, I will say it's nice that it is included.
They have a shared goal. It's the only reason he has that dream is for Sonic's character arc.
Yes.
Because Sonic has to go to San Francisco to get his rings back. It's complicated. Like, Tom wants to be a cop in San Francisco, so they make the fucking road trip. It's so they have a shared goal, but why they have a shared goal? It's for Sonic. It's not. You're not there for Tom to be a big city cop. You're there for Sonic to try and get home. And then he finds out this should be his home. He wants to protect everyone there. Yada yada yada. So in Sonic 2, when Tails and Knuckles are there, the reason that Tom, like, in the beginning, he starts playing a more fatherly role than, like, it's less that they're a duo. By the beginning of Sonic 2, Sonic has lived with them, and he is like a kid, and it's like Tom and Maddie are their dad and mom. And as someone who loves when Sonic rides a fucking military rocket in Metal Harbor, and then he starts, like, skating down, like, the fucking Navy base, the idea of Sonic's mom walking up into his room with laundry makes me throw up. And it still kind of does, but I understand its place better in these movies. Tom starts acting like a dad because Sonic is still kind of abusing his powers. Not for evil, but he's being reckless.
He's not being responsible.
He's causing damage.
He thinks he's Batman.
He thinks he's Batman, yeah. And Tom says, you need to be more responsible with your powers. And Sonic says, you're not my real dad. Stop trying to be my... He literally says, stop trying to be my dad. Because in the first movie, they were more like friends.
Yeah.
They make it a plot point. But then Tails is there, and Knuckles is there, and they become Sonic's friends. So it makes sense for the paradigm to shift, for Tom to become more like a father figure. By the time of the third movie, we've kind of told everything we need to tell with Tom and Maddie in that regard, which is why they just kind of show up in the middle.
I see.
Besides, like, Sonic needs someone to lose. Like, he's already lost one parent, and now he's losing another when Shadow hurts Tom. But other than that, again, it's like Tom is playing a role in Sonic's character arc. Tom isn't the focus anymore. That's why they show up for 5 minutes. So I ask you, Will, all of this to say, would you rather have had Act 2 focus on Tom and Maddie more if they were the only two infiltrating the tower in London, while Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles did stuff in the background, and it kept cutting back and forth the way it does in the finale? Would that have been more fun to you?
No.
Or maybe it's okay that they're just here for 5 seconds, and then Tom dies, kind of, and Sonic's like, I hate you, and all the cool stuff happens, and they go into space.
I did say that was, like, a bad thing for saying. I was just saying that I forgot they existed until they showed back up. That's all I said.
And we were talking about, and you said, why are they in the movie? And that's why.
Yeah.
Because this is how I view the whole trilogy. The writers were told, you have to make the Smurfs 2014 with Sonic, and he has to be in the real world, and he has to learn about responsibility. I think the writers were dealt a horrible hand.
1 ace and 4 jokers.
And they ended up with a royal flush.
Somehow.
Like, they took this concept that was never going to appeal to any Sonic fan ever, and they made it work surprisingly well. by caring about the characters, and then everything else is centered around it.
See, I'm always that type of person that, like, I love a good story, I love a good through line, but, like, if you have good characters, like, listen, you know me, I'm obviously a big Marvel fan. I haven't watched a lot of their newer stuff, but that's besides the point. I wasn't that big into Ant-Man when he came out, because I couldn't see him as Scott Lang Ant-Man. I just saw him as Paul Rudd. He just is Paul Rudd in that movie. I don't see him as, oh no, he's totally just a superhero and he's going through rough time. It's like, he just plays nice Scott Lang. Like, he's just a nice guy. Or no, he just plays nice Paul Rudd. He's not a criminal. He's not an ex-convict. He's just Paul Rudd.
Right.
And, like, I never, like, obviously part of this is because it's like, oh, well, obviously the characters are CG and everything, but, like, they do so much to drill home why Sonic and friends do what they do.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing where it's like, I'm gonna eat a chili dog now because that's my thing. It's like, okay, got it. Like, every wink and nod, I feel, is at least semi-appropriate.
Because they're, I don't know if subtle is the right word, but, like,
There's a certain level of
they don't ham up a scene about Sonic loving chili dogs for 3 whole minutes and expect you to laugh. It shows up for a second, and then we move on.
Yep.
In all 3 movies, it's kind of like that.
The inciting incident in the first movie is his loneliness is taking over, and he remembers what Longclaw said, just keep running. So he runs in a baseball field in circles, and that causes, like, a global power outage. That's the inciting incident, so, like...
That's why the government wants to investigate him, and that's where Eggman comes in.
Yeah, because they're, like...
investigating, like, what is causing this anomaly.
I see.
Yeah,
in fucking Montana.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say was something that I really enjoyed in Sonic 3, kind of goes back to Sonic 2, which is... You didn't really go into this because it wasn't necessary, but it's... Knuckles was originally pretty much basically a villain in Sonic 2. He didn't know Sonic and Tails, he just knew that he was an Echidna warrior.
Yeah.
And so he was like... He sides with Eggman because he is told Sonic is evil. Which is...
Yeah.
That lines in with the games too, like, Knuckles is tricked by Eggman.
Because Knuckles has, like, he has basically no contact with the outside world since childhood. So he's just... He needs to protect the Master Emerald. Or in the movie's case, he needs to find it and then protect it. So Eggman comes along and says, hey, so there's this blue fucking rat that's gonna steal the Master Emerald and destroy the universe. And Knuckles is like, I see no reason not to believe this. I've been told when I was a kid I need to protect the Master Emerald. Well, I guess I have to listen to you. So they form an alliance.
Yeah.
And then Eggman fucks it up by being a horrible fucking person, and Knuckles sees through his shitty act, and Sonic forms an alliance with him.
And so, like, those little arcs go so long for the movie because, like, they're all predictable, but, like, they just make it that much more of an enjoyable through line. And one thing that I really liked in Sonic 3 was that they kind of call back to that, like, tension where there's just, like we swore an oath, like, don't fuck with me on this, like,
Yeah.
like, you're being, he says, you're being led by your emotions, you're basically, like, you're compromised.
I did like that bit, but then it cuts to this, like, they build this whole thing where it's like, oh, it's like in an impenetrable area. I keep thinking, man, where's this thing going to be? It's got to be...
That is a tie-in with the Knuckles show.
It's got to be like a trap, and it's just like fucking a Wayne Gretzky reject using it as a fucking hockey puck.
What's his name again?
Wade.
So
And I think that joke falls flat on its face.
It
I
does.
think
And like he just done.
I would have appreciated if it was just the dog.
that would have been actually worse.
Like I was like watching this thing, and in the back part of my mind, I was thinking, okay, there are 2 options. Either A, if this movie's smart, it's gonna actually be like a proper thing that Sonic has to traverse and use his skills to get into, or B, it's gonna be some stupid thing. And then when it came up, I was like,
And see, that's where, like, that's the kind of stuff that I still, like, I can't really accept those.
Yes.
I accept them, but I don't like them because it's like, the Master Emerald, like, it can grant wishes.
Yeah.
It can bring you ultimate power.
This
You
is
see what
supposed-
it did to Sonic and Shadow.
exactly.
And, like, this is how we're gonna tie it into the
This
show.
is like putting like the nuclear button in the hands of a 2-year-old.
Because in the show, Knuckles becomes friends with Wade, and Knuckles grows respect for Wade, but like, it's clear to everyone that Wade is still an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, he has good traits.
I mean,
but,
he's
like,
playing
fucking hockey.
hockey with it. Like, I saw it as like that kind of stuff. I feel like is what turned me off the most with the movie. Just that, like,
because stuff like that, like,
you know what it
they
is?
can't have restraint. It has to keep seeping in.
Yeah.
You know what that reminded me of? You guys have never seen it, but it reminded me of like a Dragon Ball gag because a lot of characters in Dragon Ball, they don't know what the Dragon Balls are. So like, people will just be fucking around with them. They'll be like playing like baseball with them, and they're just like, "Excuse me, we need that." Like, and he's like, "Well, get your own ball," and it's like.
See, but that's what kills me is, not that I've seen the whole series, but like, it's clear that Knuckles and Wade form a bond.
Yeah.
And obviously Wade isn't going to understand everything because he's the dumb idiot character.
But why would you put something that powerful in the hands of a dumb idiot?
Why would Knuckles?
I do not understand movie logic. Like
No, yeah, I get that.
I can't see if Wade was a better written character, I would say, okay, Wade may not understand what this is, but he at least has to understand that this is important to Knuckles and he should be careful. But this is why I have to digress with this for a second. Character is dumb, and that's their character is, I think, the worst trope, cliche in all of writing.
Agreed. Didn't I say in our Sonic 2 movie review that I thought that they originally wanted Patrick Warburton for that role?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think him and Adam Pally have a similar kind of comedy shtick.
Where it's like they are just all.
See, but like, you know, I said like, you know, Sonic gets that like hologram of his dead mom.
Yeah.
And he's telling him like, you have to find the Master Emerald, and he starts like crying, and then Wade looks at Tails and says, "So is that your dad?"
Yeah.
And I said I hate that. In hindsight,
Nah, I get it.
That's how I reacted at first. I did turn into a Wolverine with rabies. You're right, Will. That was a very good impression. But when I watched,
I haven't even seen that movie.
When I watched the film a second
That's just
time,
one scene.
like, I laughed the first time. I hated it. The second time, I laughed at it and I liked it. Because I think when you have dumb, stupid character with 0 brain cells, that's how you write them. They can't have consequences on the story. And I'm not going to say that's necessarily true in the scene of
It's
Sonic.
not a main character, leave it alone.
I know, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying that Wade has consequences on the story, because it's Sonic's actions. He takes the thing from Wade. There's no way Wade would have been able to stop it. But just that little bit of, like, we have no restraint. He's fucking around with the master.
Since we're kind of on that, can we just get to the main issue with the tonal 180 changes that they just randomly do?
It's Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Okay, for my thing with the whole movie. Okay, so like I said,
take your time.
The things that I like, I will agree that the writing is like halfway decent. I don't care for Sonic's one-liners, but I can kind of see like that's part of his character. They're just kind of thing I like roll my eyes over, but it's not that big of a deal. I will say though, the bit where was it Commander Wallace when he just shows up, that was hilarious because
Is it Wallace or Walters? I don't remember.
Walters. I just love how fucking random that was because they're just it's like cutesy little Japanese restaurant, it's like a hideout and stuff. And
the justification is Eggman just sneaks into Sonic's house.
3, 2. All right, Will.
Thank you,
The
Dad.
lore of Sonic Labyrinth for the Game Gears. Okay, yes, Daddy. I'm sorry, Daddy.
I have the talking stick.
Agent Stone is my real daddy. It's like,
Talking stick. Go.
it's like that Aqua Teen scene. Daddy! No, he's next door. Check it. Your master.
Shut up. God. Anyways,
I'm just trying not to think about
You
Jim
dare
Carrey.
question the words of the mighty Jimmy?
I was
at this
actually,
point, I'm gonna kill him, not you.
I was actually trying to transition that time because I was getting us back on track about how much we all hate Jim Carrey.
Yes. Anyways, so as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. My main crux of the issues with this movie is, again, some of the humor, but again, like Sonic's one-liners, I can just roll my eyes at that. It's not a big deal. The main thing that does it for me is the 180 tonal shifts, because Jim Carrey refuses to retire, and he just needs to be in movies.
He refuses to not be Jim Carrey.
He refuses. Jim Carrey continues to be the Jim Carrey of Carrey past.
It may as well just be, hey, you want to watch a Sonic movie with Ace Ventura?
It's like
it's that performance.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like he harnessed his inner Grinch in this movie in a way, but like
I think he loves that role.
I think he like used it in like every movie since then.
He really does love that role.
But like you'll have a scene. It's like during, like Drew was saying, how the climax is butchered, because you have this scene where Sonic is chasing Shadow and they're battling out in space, and they crash down onto it was the moon, right?
Yeah.
And they have the moment where they talk about that, and you know, Sonic tells him about Tom and his caring, and Shadow kind of opens up for the first time to him about Maria, and then he has to change the heart and stuff like that. And you know, it's such a beautiful scene. And what did you write?
Huh?
I swear to God, Drew.
Nothing.
What did you write?
It was called typing.
Go
ahead.
Let me see.
Read it. Read it for our audience.
Where?
What? Oh. Read it. Out loud. Out loud for the 4 subway rats. Yeah. No. Yes, he should. Yes, he should.
Why must you,
Read it out loud.
Why must you do this?
Because I'm right and everyone knows it. As always. Now read it.
I wasn't even thinking that. You're gonna get like a fucking punch to the head.
But first, I'm gonna get what I want.
Fucking.
As always. Give me my phone. I'll read it. Hey, don't hit.
First assault wasn't me. First assault wasn't me.
Wait, this works every time. Don't hit me. I'm into it.
Fuck yeah.
I have so many questions. And bruises. Also bruises.
My God. This is fucking stupid.
My stomach hurts, and so does my heart. My penis is a little more complicated.
I know, Will.
What did I do to deserve this?
I know, I can't believe it either. A woman on MoonFriends.
Well,
we'll get to that later, okay?
I said Will has never sounded so much like the nerd from Polar Express as what he said when I was rudely interrupted. So anyways, this train is a BMOC 97 kilometer.
And if you're gonna at least get the name of the train right.
Oh no, you know the train.
If there's anyone here that I want to tell me the name of the fucking train, I want it to be you.
Have your moment.
It's a Baldwin, built in 1931.
He just climaxed.
It's a pre. Keep going.
I forget the model number, but it was like an S24J or something or other.
He's gonna conclude.
He's gonna conclude.
I'm getting my passengers off board. Santa.
Elves. I can hear the bells ringing.
I don't think he was even a ball when they based it off of.
Happy holidays to you.
And especially you.
Drew.
I'm coming.
Drew.
For the holiday.
Why does this always happen during Will's bits?
Because I respect him somehow less than you do.
Drew, I want you to know something.
Daddy!
I would never wish harm upon you.
You hit me! Oh, you hit me with a bottle!
That's just shush.
That was impulse. That was defense mechanism.
Be quiet. Be still, my son. But I hope you choke on your cum and drown.
But you didn't provide an explanation for why you beat me when you said you would never hurt me.
Well, I meant other people hurting you.
See, this is where I'm getting at with the Sonic movies, is at least the characters are consistent. There's never anything in the movies that I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Anyway, Will, you were saying?
I don't even know anymore.
You were talking about the Jim
The
Carrey
total
dynamic.
different. Okay, anyways.
Jim Carrey.
So, you have the climax, really nice, beautiful scene. Sonic and Drew, I swear to fucking
Alright, it's getting to the point where
Christ
I'll beat you.
on the cross.
I did was laugh.
I know.
I was quiet.
But I was afraid that meant you were going to say something.
I'm not saying anything.
I'll lock you in the room with the cat bee.
It'd be more pleasant than this. At least Will's not beating
Sonic
his
and
wife.
Shadow are having their emotional scene where Shadow says
Speaking
that
of beating your wife, Shadow.
the shadows of my past.
Nice, really cool scene on the moon. It's very touching, and then it just cuts to Jim Carrey spanking himself. With like a fucking
Nano fist.
nano fist.
Wait, does this mean that Sonic 3 is the first? It's the first piece of media in the Sonic franchise to visually depict self-sabotage. Well, there's Sonic Underground. Julie voices all three kids.
I think I want to kill him more than you
Okay.
do, Ryan.
There
There might actually be an execution live
I may-
at MoonFriends
I have an idea.
within the next half
That's
hour.
scary.
I have an idea.
No.
5-minute timer. I will only speak if one of you directly asks me of a response.
Okay, you have your moment.
Fucking finally. But the thing was, it's just stuff like that. And the whole thing with, again, it's Jim Carrey just kind of ruins it for me, honestly.
His
Like,
humor does not.
It does not
mesh.
land. It does
Yeah.
not mesh. It does not land. And
Which is weird because I've heard people say that Jim Carrey's bits are like the best.
his thing too, like the bit where his like reveal in the movie. And mind you too, this is I haven't seen the first two, so this is like my first time seeing him in the movie. I was like, ooh, they're gonna go to like Dr. Robotnik's like lair, so I wonder what the reveal is. And it fucking cuts to a telenovela. And I was like, wait, what? Is this the same movie? It's like, projectionist, did we put the wrong wheel on?
I get the feeling that the first movie would have been what you were looking
And
for.
then he
for
just
the scene.
fucking plays the bongos on his big fat high fidelity jelly belly.
The reason for that though. The reason for that.
Calm, Drew.
You don't get to talk.
Calm. It's at 4 minutes.
The reason for that though is to show he's getting fatter and thus turning into an Eggman. Drew's dying. He's like
He's dying on screen. But yeah, it's like they could have done it with like, I don't know, more dignity.
Because in the first movie, he basically approaches with all his machines and gets off his like bus and everything. And he goes up to the military. He's like, "Are you in charge here?" And he has that whole scene where he kind of shows like his superiority.
Yeah,
over the
I
guy.
kind of want something like that, not him simping over a telenovela.
You gotta remember, it's the third
I know,
movie,
but like,
and
again,
it's a different.
it was a first impression for me.
Yes, and I can see how that would have been turning off.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my god. And no, I have the talking stick.
I'm making an actual point.
Okay, go
Okay.
for it.
Fucking Christ.
You're on
gonna say,
fucking thin ice.
Sonic, you were saying that Sonic 1 has more of what he's looking for, and I don't know if this is what you're
Just in
implying.
that scene.
But like, his performance in the first movie would not win you over if you were wondering, because like, while there is more of like a grounded reasoning for the way that he acts, he still Jim Carrey's all over the room and there's stains.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but like it was the intro, I think.
Yeah.
Like his intro from what Ryan's describing in the first one to what it was in the third one, it's vastly different.
I would say that intro scene in the first movie is probably the best we see of Jim Carrey throughout the trilogy.
Just goes downhill from there.
Because he reels it back a little bit, like just enough.
Yeah.
He is a bit showboaty, but that's the
They do have the montage with him and fucking Grunkle Carey.
Oh, Carey!
I don't know. Gerald Carey. I don't know. I don't care. Grunkle Gerald.
Grunkle Robotnik.
No,
Grunkle Kintober.
The bit where they first meet, I thought it was interesting, if not a bit kind of long. And again, like the whole thing where it's like he'll like go to his grandfather's feet and like fucking army crawl and kiss his feet. It's like, why?
Well, because he's getting a new suit.
I know, but why?
Can you get a new suit somewhere else,
Like,
please?
yeah, can he just go over there off screen and do that?
That's a nitpick, but
It's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey.
is there
Feel.
anything else you want to add? Because I do have some stuff to say.
Like negatives?
Just anything in general, like positive or negative. Something you want to point out, like just.
I feel like, what was his name? Agent Stone?
Yeah.
I feel like he was completely unnecessary in this movie.
Oh, that's gonna hurt. That just hurt Drew
Like,
physically.
completely unnecessary. You could have gotten rid of him and it would have made no difference.
I can't argue with that.
He's a henchman.
I know, but
he's like.
And Commander Stone, I might add too.
He is the
Commander Walters. Withers?
Oh, Withers. The lady.
What the fuck is his name?
The lady in the military.
Walter.
Director Rockwell.
Director Rockwell, whatever.
That's Rockwell.
Yeah, her. She's also like has no bearing on anything.
She was completely thrown. She did not need to be around.
It's like she just like hands over the key card, and we never see her again.
That would have been, you know what? That would have been a really good, well, not really good callback to, but that would have been like a wink, wink, nudge, and I was saying they could have called her Topaz.
That's
kind of a stretch.
That's
But like I don't know,
that's
I just
Rouge's partner
some
in the
things weren't
the
like
show.
resolved and stuff, and it's like I don't know, and the fact that's like they changed some things around, and from like I know from like the game.
Did you have any like high moments like other than because like we talked about when Live and Learn kicked in and like it got cut off both times, like because the first time it was like okay their hands clasp and they power up and they go, and it plays briefly. And then it cuts back to them, and it's kind of like the song plays again. It starts up, and they're doing it again. Like,
I mean,
I remember you saying that was a nitpick of yours.
Yeah, the bits that I kind of liked was probably, like Drew said, the action scenes. You know, Shadow on the bike pulls out a fucking Glock 19 and starts shooting Sonic.
Well,
Made it work.
It's a laser
They did.
gun.
I know, but I like to think it's gun.
They made it work.
They did make it work, and of course the battle scene near the climax is good too. And like I said, the bit where both of them are on the moon, just kind of opening up to each other. Those are nice, minus Robotnik. The ending is I guess. I mean, like I was surprised they literally, like spoiler alert, they literally killed Dr. Robotnik.
Well,
Twice.
They can come up with any BS.
Unquote.
He's technically
They
died twice
brackets
now.
killed Robotnik.
He's technically died twice now.
Yeah, because
so
I remember when Sonic and team saw him again, I was like, I thought you were dead. And I was like, I'm not, but I am inside.
They don't make it any explanation for it.
I don't
Not
think
that it really needs.
I don't think there's any way he could survive something like that though. Personally, I'm sure Shadow lived because he's like Shadow.
Yeah,
But like Robotnik,
well,
who's just like a guy, no way.
just for spoilers credit, at the end, the second credit scene that we walked out on,
Yeah.
it showed Shadow picking up his like ring that he took off his wrist.
I figured as much.
So-
I figured he would live because again, I would
He's
expect
Shadow.
that. Yeah, it's Shadow. I'd expect him
He
to
probably
live.
chaos
Like
controlled
a
out of there.
thermonuclear detonation.
I'm willing to bet that because another thing is we don't see the Chaos Emeralds after that, and it's kind of going into theory territory. But I'm assuming that as Super Shadow, he got him and Eggman out of there. But I'm assuming
Maybe.
I'm going to elaborate on that later because that goes into a prediction of mine for possibly what comes next. But as far as everything else, is it okay if I go now, or do you have anything else?
Just a few more positives. I do like the time with you see with Shadow and Maria. I feel like
I love that.
those scenes are really good. I feel like they could have maybe done a bit more and stuff because it's kind of brief because we only ever see like
You don't really
Yeah.
parts with
Parts
her
of
though because
Yeah.
they don't really know much about her in general.
But yeah, that's the thing. I feel like they could have done a bit more time with that and stuff, and instead of like having it be like instead of having it
Like
be
a one montage.
yeah, like a one montage or stuff. Maybe you could have that whole scene where he's in the lab and they meet be like the opening kind of.
I'll be really honest about this, and Drew will 100% back me up. This is the most character we've ever seen from Maria.
Yeah, which is what makes it more disappointing from a Sonic fan's perspective too. Is like this is the one time that she hasn't just been like, "I'm nice, Shadow. Remember me because I'm nice."
Yeah.
Like she actually has.
Are you guys in the fandom okay?
No one in Sonic fandom. is
I'm about to
okay.
say it's like, man, you guys have like.
It's been a drowning experience since the fucking Titanic.
Let me. This is how being a Sonic fan works. You're introduced to a piece of Sonic media as a kid, and you're like, "Oh, cool! I wonder what the next one's gonna be like." And the next one disappoints you, and you're like, "Shit!" And then the next one comes out, and it's okay. And the next one comes out, it's good again, and it's a constant cycle.
So it's just a cycle from good to meh to bad.
That's the problem. You can't ever write off Sonic because he's never 100% bad.
And Sonic is too different between every single game for him to be consistently good at anything. So
I don't mean
everyone
him
has their
as
own varying opinions.
I don't mean that specifically, although I understand that. I just mean the franchise is inconsistent.
Some people love Sonic Unleashed, some people love Sonic Adventure, some people love the OG games.
And somebody likes Heroes because you were like cutting off your foreskin, getting all A rank,
Getting back on track. The time spent with Shadow Maria is I do like those scenes, but I do feel like they could have probably expanded that a bit more, just so there's a bit more of a connection. But you do feel that.
Yeah.
You do feel that. And I do like, as characters, I do like Knuckles and I do like Shadow. Knuckles is best boy. I will die on this fucking hill. Aside from Knuckles. I do like that. I guess Sonic as a character, I don't know. I feel like he's got a long way to go still. Like, I know
in terms of growth or in terms of being interesting?
both.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, you're not really used to Sonic anyway, but that's
Again, the vibes he gives me I've only seen the third movie, but the vibes he gives me is that he's still kind of learning. He's still irresponsible and stuff, and like he's impatient and kind of not reckless, but still doesn't think with his head most of the time. Just kind of like goes like Knuckles says. He's letting his emotions dictate him, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but this is the third movie. I thought he would have learned this by now.
Yeah.
Well, the first movie is about him getting a family. The second movie is about him basically getting friends. Now it's kind of about him, like,
now that
being
he
in
has
control.
a whole support group.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I feel like they maybe could have like weaved elements of that into the first two movies, though.
It's impossible to say without
Like
having
some
seen them.
like a bit more growth, I guess. But like I said, I haven't seen them. I can't
Yeah,
say
I
for
know.
certain. So
I see what you mean, though.
But that was like
yeah.
a gripe I had and stuff like
He's
that.
been on Earth quite a few numbers
Yeah,
of
it's
years.
like-
Yeah.
Like I'd expected him to be less reckless and stuff, and it's like I don't really care for him that much as a character. I think Tails and Knuckles are better characters personally.
It's kind of interesting what you say about that, because I wonder if, I mean, you probably wouldn't, but you might be more interested in how Sonic Adventure 2's story plays out, because as we said earlier, Sonic never goes through an arc in the games. So Sonic Adventure 2 is really, this is a story about Shadow the Hedgehog and a bunch of other people are there. Because
It's Shadow's story.
Sonic is not there because he has to do anything in particular emotionally. He just has to try and stop Shadow.
Yeah.
That's everything
It
else
is-
is about Shadow's growth.
It is strange too how they made some plot changes from the. I know enough about the game to know basically the basic plot because you've taught me about the game stuff and.
It's because you watch Snapcube every 2 days. Don't lie.
But no. But like, you know, the way Maria is killed in the movie versus how she goes in the game and what they do with
It's
Grunkle Robotnik and
I mean,
stuff
it's-
like that.
it's similar
as I
to-
now recall him.
it's similar to how Maria dies.
Also, how old was Gerald in the movie? Like 110?
Yeah, he said, like, not bad for 110.
How?
They explained a deleted scene, and I know for everyone listening, this is the 907th time you've heard this on YouTube. During a Sonic 3 film discussion, there's a deleted scene where, you know how they keep like with the quills?
Yeah.
And how they have a lot of power?
Yeah.
They use that as a bullshit excuse to say that's how Gerald stayed alive in the prison for 50 years.
Oh, that's fucking bullshit.
It is, and I don't care, and I love it.
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of weirded me out too. The whole quill thing, them getting high on
It's a running joke.
Sonic fumes
It's really
and
just
fucking.
a fuck joke.
Yeah, but it weirded me out every fucking time. It was fucking weird.
Fair enough.
Okay, I now bequeath my time to you.
Bequeath?
Fuck you.
So I actually do have notes I'd like to go through really quick because I listed my pros and cons, and I will go through my cons first that we have not touched on. I think we touched on most of them though.
After your
I know.
after this bit.
The way you two center around violence, you're both ex-cons.
So, yeah, the pop culture references, the dumb humor from Sonic and Friends, Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, the tonal shift between drama and comedy, Randall and Rachel Handel.
What?
That was their names when they were fake getting into Gun.
Oh yeah,
Randall and Rachel.
that was
the
another
Handles.
scene that was like, I was just like, really? You couldn't? Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, Wade Whipple defending the Master Emerald. Those are all my cons, but
Also, not to cut you off, Ryan, but can someone please explain to me how when Walters is like blown up and like, you know, Tom like takes his like form, he only has like a busted arm, and when Tom gets gut punched by Shadow, he only has a busted arm?
Because it's visual shorthand to show that he is still recovering, but the effects of what happened have real stakes.
My guy, but like,
I know.
It is visual shorthand.
but physics and anatomy, I'm surprised he wasn't dead.
If everything you
You're
saw...
not meant to worry about that. In the movie, you're just...
Tom doesn't matter. Yes, that's a better way of putting it.
You're
Tom
not
doesn't
meant to
matter.
I
care
know,
about
but
that.
like,
What he represents.
the fact he only came out with the bus, whatever. I don't want to get on a
The
high
fact
horse
that
about
anyone would have cared about, like...
I know. If he died, I generally wouldn't care. It's just the fact that they depict him at the end with literally just an arm cast. Like,
He's
really?
so-
That's it?
Every other complaint you've had makes sense. This, I understand why you think it. You are bordering on CinemaSins.
I know.
Do not teeter over the edge.
I know.
Regain your balance.
Yes, I have. I've leveled out. Please continue, Ryan.
My pros are just more hedgehogs, less humans. The chemistry between Sonic and Knuckles is great, I thought. I loved their kind of like love-hate relationship.
That was good too. Drew is dying again. More hedgehogs, less humans. I need that on a t-shirt.
Just what I'm into.
I knew he was going to make a joke about that. The Shadow and Maria backstory. I thought it was really good in portraying the fact that Shadow wasn't just a miserable sod his whole life. He got to understand why someone might find things fun.
Yeah, he had like actually good times with Maria.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing, right? Because we were talking about how this is the most characterization Maria's ever had. In the games, we see flashbacks of Shadow and Maria, and you don't really get to see Shadow.
You see them walking around the Ark holding hands, kind of thing. Like not much. They're
Yeah.
He's kind of like protecting her. That's about it.
And there's just enough more here where it's like, this is better.
Mm.
This feels more complete.
And it very clearly shows the contrast between... I really like that introductory scene of Maria where she's just roller skating, because it's like she's told to stop, but that doesn't stop her like from having fun.
Yeah.
She still goes up to the tube of Shadow, and Shadow just mean faces her, and she's just like...
She's like completely undeterred.
She's completely unfazed, and she just draws like a rabbit.
Yeah, and Sonic's like, what the fuck?
I love that moment in particular because it's just little scenes like that you can start reading into. It's like Maria doesn't. It's not meant to be disrespect, but like she's gonna treat this alien life form in a test tube like anybody else.
Yep.
Because she doesn't care.
Yeah,
And that's really sweet. You know,
I did like that.
You know, let's just treat. There's implications that like her kind of headspace is just I'll treat anyone like anyone.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and they have fun around the base and stuff.
I do like also that they chose time era appropriate music.
Yeah, they actually had 70s songs,
fucking,
which was actually pretty cool.
What's that one guy from the Beatles who split off and George?
Ringo?
No, George. The guy's
Okay.
name was George.
George Harrison?
Harrison, yeah. It was like his band, something Wilburys or but like.
Sonic calls Ringo the other guy. This is 0 out of 10 film.
And oh yeah, I forgot. There's 2 Beatles references.
Oh yeah, because he does Piccadilly Street.
I will not
Yeah.
stand for the slander.
Agreed.
I actually thought that bit was okay.
I hate you.
No, not the beat. I meant Sonic running around on his way there. I thought that was just like, it's cheap humor. It's whatever. It takes less than a minute, so it's
know,
like
but-
fine.
You have regained your living privileges.
But you can say damn in a PG movie now. That made me happy.
Didn't they say the F-bomb?
No.
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 For some reason, I remember that.
Two dams, nothing more.
That's it.
That was it. I think they say hell too.
Maybe I'm thinking of like 80s PG.
Is it Commander Walters or like a soldier that says damn? I know it's not Shadow.
No, it's
Robotnik, yeah.
It's Eggman. He said it. I can't remember the specific point, but I know he said it twice.
He's probably like, I don't give a damn
Shadow
anymore.
so badly.
Yeah, I think they avoided that just because they were like, we don't want our
It's
hedgehog,
okay though, Drew, because we got Revenge Guacamole.
which is the one part that made Drew want to slink back into
Yeah,
his chair.
yeah.
I remember Drew like looking at me being like, this is what you took me to?
Yeah.
Like,
See, that's my like. It's kind of like with Wade, where like, would this really happen? I don't know. I don't see Shadow's character saying that.
Me neither.
I will say, I always enjoyed Knuckles' humor of 1,000,000% muscle and shit. And when they jump out of the helicopter, I don't know if you noticed, I did.
I think you just like.
Not just that, but they're for a second while they're falling, in order to like kind of slow themselves down, they get in the team fly position from Sonic Heroes.
You mean where they
Where
like,
Tails is on
or-
Tails is on top, Sonic's hanging on to his feet, and Knuckles is hanging on to Sonic's.
Huh.
They get into that position briefly before landing, and I thought that was kind of funny. But just another thing.
Knuckles' humor was good. Again, evidence that he is best man.
Sonic 2 reference you obviously wouldn't have picked up on, but talk about low budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. That's from the game. That's why he said that.
Okay, that kind of stuff I can
Yeah.
go done too.
Because it's that shot. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that may have seemed out of place for anyone else, and I just wanted to make sure, like, no, that's from the game. So, also I'm just talking about in-game reference, or the in-movie references to the games now, where it's like, where Sonic's like, okay, he took all of us at once. That shot where Sonic's getting up and falls and Shadow's behind him, that's a Shadow, right?
Reference. Yeah.
Shadow 06.
It's implied that Shadow fucking killed Sonic. And then he zooms into the screen
Yes.
in 5D.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. You should play Child of the Hedgehog. You would have a great time. Just through all.
Then I get to the mid-credits scene
Oh,
with Metal and Amy.
Yeah, that was.
where I came in public. for the
I was
first
looking
time.
for a reaction, and you just had like a completely blank stare.
Because he was in
I
awe.
No, I had that look on my face because I had been drained of all positive energy from
That's true.
Gerald in Act 3 of the film.
Yeah, that's fair.
In retrospect, Amy made me feel really warm
Don't.
inside.
It made him feel doki doki.
That's
You know, I can't wait for Sonic 4 2, where we have Amy, Metal Sonic, the President of the United States, and Danica Patrick as guest stars.
I really thought you said Sonic 4 2. Like, I was like, what
Sonic
happened?
4.
we do have
Two.
it's called Sonic 4 Episode 2. It's the best game ever made.
Oh gosh, the fucking. But I like that Metal Sonic just looks just like Metal Sonic.
Metal Sonic does
Like
look cool. I will admit, he does look
just
badass.
looks the same as in the game.
And Amy looks cool too. I will say
Yes.
I think it's the first time that a post-credits character, in regards to Amy, actually looks good. Because you see Tails at the end of Sonic 1, and he looks like an unfinished
Yes.
Muppet. And you see Shadow at the end of Sonic 2, and he looks like an unfinished Muppet, but a little better.
Shadow looked okay.
There's
He just
something
wasn't
with his
perfected.
eyes. It's like
Yeah.
he's got the
they clearly hadn't finished the model, but they were like, we want to make a scene. It's like, let's just take the
the eye
fucking
to
Sonic model and
mouth
alter it.
ratio doesn't.
Imagine on like the final movie of like this trilogy or whatever, they just at the end credits scene, it's just ugly Sonic. It's like a cheap clone. That'd be kind of funny.
Disney bought the rights to Sonic. Oh no.
Oh fuck! Oh no! Uncanny Sonic.
No matter how much I complain about Sonic, at least we haven't entered that worst timeline.
Also, this is technically the end of a trilogy movie, but
I guess, but like I don't know.
I just wanted to say that, but no, it just I'm surprised I don't want to say came around, but like you learned to kind of appreciate these movies a bit more.
I'm not gonna say like, and this is why the movie sucked, but I think it does say something that like, obviously I'm not representative of every Sonic fan. I'm in the minority about these very clearly, but it says something to me that it took me until the third movie 4 years later to finally understand what the appeal was to begin with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Sonic 3 is easily the best of the trilogy. It has the most good and the best good of the trilogy. That's why, like, if this movie didn't exist and we only had Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, I would never come around on Sonic 2. Because, like, I think the good elements of, like, the characterization there, like, they cut away to, like, the resort and Randall, like, so much that like, I can't focus on it. But again, especially I think like Act 1, but generally the film as a whole, Sonic 3, like, there's more screen time of it, because like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles now, they're like all here, and Shadow's here too, and like, I felt like there was more good to latch on. Like, every time I think about being a Sonic fan, I think about that picture of Sonic eating out of the dog food bowl that says mediocrity. And yes, I know that has the subtlety of a political comment with like big guy and big water, but like it really is like taking whatever good you can out of flawed things. That's what being a Sonic fan is all about.
We all have our favorites and our least favorites. It just I enjoy this more than I would have if it were just completely Jim Carrey. Like, I just, because you can argue that there's an animated future out there for like if something like this were to happen, and if it were just Jim Carrey as Eggman but animated, this would be.
Oh no, I wouldn't even watch that for a second.
I would like walk out mid-movie.
He'd be spazzing out and everything, and you're just like, gosh.
No, it would have to be a different interpretation to begin with. Yeah.
What if, hear me out, what if we make a Sonic movie, but with like stop motion style? And not like Aardman.
You gotta portray that as fast.
Not like Aardman stop motion. No, I'm talking about Frankenbass stop motion.
No, Rankin-Bass.
Fucking whatever.
Frankenberry.
The whole point of Sonic being, Sonic and all of his friends being fast characters is you can see the fluidity of their movement.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they make it stop motion.
No one wants to watch a Rankin-Bass film about Quicksilver. No one's asked for that. And now you know why.
It sounds like something they would make, though, in like the 80s.
I'm trying to think of...
What? No, it doesn't. Ryan, continue.
Well, I was just saying, because my brain was on certain other interpretation stuff. I was thinking about these movies and like where they can go, and I have seen online that the direction is either aimed towards Sonic CD or Sonic Heroes.
I think the obvious answer. I think it's like I was telling you, where like Sonic CD is about Sonic stopping Eggman, and Metal Sonic and Amy are there for like 5 seconds each. They don't have any place in the story. They're just there. So we're taking that from CD, because that's all you can really take from CD, unless they want to involve time travel and blend that in. I think either way, you're getting both.
I don't know about time travel. That seems a little too much.
Which I don't disagree with. It's more so me just spitballing. I guess the thing for me is like Metal Sonic and seeing like all the other like copies of Metal Sonic. It gave me like Terminator 2 vibes.
Oh,
with
no.
like Skynet.
Oh God.
Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean, but like for me, that just kind of symbolized to me that there's a stronger Metal Sonic, the one with spikes. That's
which is that's all there needs to be, and like he can be a recurring character in the series, and all the other ones perish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could do something with that.
Yeah, it could work, but I don't think you're gonna see Shadow in the next movie because my prediction is they could either do a Shadow show about Shadow and Maria in the past, which I would fucking love to see.
I would watch that.
That would characterize them a bit more.
I would watch that too.
They'll do it in the Wade TV show. In episode 4.
But
I will commit.
They showed off Iblis in the Wade show.
I will commit seppuku.
Oh wait, yeah, no,
Okay.
No, I forgot about that. But
Look on his face.
the fucking. No, I was gonna say that if not that, then a Shadow movie down the road because he is such a popular character, he can have his own movie.
Okay, so yeah, let's
prequel to 3. Yes.
Not necessarily a prequel, a sequel. So here's the thing.
Yeah, Shadow has his own game where he basically gets amnesia, and he's just like, "What am I? Who am I?" Like, and he just
then
goes
his fucking cum donor dad, Black Doom, an ancient alien, the master of an all-powerful race, who helped make Shadow
in the games.
Wants Shadow to get all the 7 Chaos Emeralds so they can take over the world. And Shadow's like, I don't remember what my memory is, and this game's fucking stupid, so like, I'll think about it.
There needs to be a scene in the next movie where the President of the United States has a picture of him and Sonic on his desk. I need to see that!
He unironically could. Oh god, I didn't even. Anyway. I think Shadow will get a movie. And I think it's going to be like movie 5 or movie 6. They may not even call it, they may just call it Sonic 5 or Sonic 6, but it'll be centered around him because in Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow's just made in a lab with Gerald. In this movie, Sonic, okay, he came from a teleportation ring. Tails, Knuckles, teleportation rings. Shadow,
He crashed.
landed on the planet
As a meteor.
Yeah.
as a meteorite.
Like Superman style.
His dad and all his little friends come from something called the Black Comet. There's no reason they wouldn't just have Shadow like crash land like without the rock or like just use the teleportation. They did this on purpose.
Or be discovered somewhere randomly.
Right. No, they did this specifically because they're setting up 2 or 3 movies from now. It's gonna be about Black
An
Doom.
invasion.
Yeah.
I would watch the Shadow focused ones. I'm not
You
gonna
would
lie.
watch Shadow wonder who his dad is during an alien invasion, and then Sonic's like, snap out of it, asshole, and then they both go supersonic and they blow up a giant comet. You would watch that,
I would.
and they're gonna do it, and I'm excited.
I hope so. I hope so. Do we want any last notes regarding this one?
I'm afraid there are many more notes.
Oh God.
Because I do want to touch on Polar Express because I want to pick Ryan's brain about it, and I want.
Let me remember I like Sonic for once again before we get to Polar Express.
Well, and then I want to discuss like your revelation that you had yesterday
ride the
too.
high. Okay, as before,
I'll let you explain it.
I'm dumping it.
Okay.
That's not gonna go anywhere. So we're just gonna talk about what we thought of the movie.
All right.
I'm reading from my phone verbatim. I don't know where else to put this, but in one of the movie discussion videos I listened to, someone asked, what if they made Amy evil? And even though that shit would not make sense for multiple reasons, I responded out loud with no one around, please don't do this to my penis.
Well, of course. Why would I expect nothing less from our estimable colleague?
She makes that like cool fucking DreamWorks smile. I'm like, oh, she's so pretty.
Not only that, she doesn't have just the classic like 3 arcs of hair. She has like a little like splayed out like cloud stripe style look there.
Amy's cute. She just is.
Okay, yes.
I thought it was also weird that she like appeared in a cloak. Like that's never been a thing.
That's just so they can have a mysterious.
They
I
want
know.
you to not know who it is for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and she's
They-
like, "Woo-doo."
They
You see
want-
the hammer first, you know.
It could have been Wentos from Sonic Unleashed. He could have been Wentos.
I was hoping it was Big the Cat.
The cloak would have taken up the entire.
You would have seen a frog.
Froggy.
Okay, I will try and run through this because this is all like speculation.
Yeah.
Do you think Commander Walter is dead? I don't think so.
I think
feel
injured.
I think he is.
I feel like they would have made that a bigger plot point in the film. Like, oh, look at what Shadow's doing.
I think injured, but not dead. Because
Yeah,
I
he's
don't know
just
if they'd be
injured.
willing
Maybe
to
he's
really.
comatose.
He's never played a big role anyway. So
Yeah,
he'll go
he's
Sonic
just been like
retire.
kind of like Commander Gun for most of the part.
Yeah, he'll retire, and you'll see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles do another Child Garden scene where like we have to talk somewhere, and they go to an Olive Garden. He's the man. He's like, how is everything? And I will finally be happy as a human being.
You know, I would not.
You have obsessed about this Olive Garden scene for 2 days now.
Because it's like the one like reference joke in Sonic 1 that's actually funny. Because I was explaining to Will while you were getting our pizza, like when Sonic says, "Whoa, dude, it's like Shaun White." He's doing that like, dude, it's like that voice.
Yeah.
When he's going like, "Have you heard about Olive Garden's never-ending possible?" It sounds like he's like
genuine.
He's trying to act like he's a comedy actor and not like he's referencing things. Hey guys, isn't that cool? It's called acting.
Yeah.
And for how little of it there is in Sonic 1, I fucking appreciate it. I'm more of a 5 cheese ZD man myself.
Okay, I will say this, by the way, just something funny I learned was that was actually Jim Carrey's hair when he got his hair cut.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. He actually got his hair cut live.
Wanted to like
No, Jim Carrey told him. He was like, I want you to cut my hair.
Oh, what?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So that was all live.
Yeah, so he was just like, and he was like, I don't know how to cut hair. And he's just like, and it's like, yeah, it's fine. You'll do fine.
I'm saying this like 5% unironically, and I'm gonna embarrass myself, but it's okay. I farted at like minute 14. It's okay. I have never really understood what the point. Well, not the point, but like I've never been interested in like having a shipping headcanon in my head, even for Sonic, as huge as the cast is. But after movie 3, when Eggman finally starts growing a heart, they're just fucking gay, and I want Wade to get his own TV show. It's not Knuckles season 2, it's Wade, and there's 6 episodes, and it's Eggman Agent Stone hardcore pornography. In like 360p shitty camcorder quality.
Ninja Turtle outfits.
Because I've always wanted Agent Stone to be happy, and now that Eggman's starting to get kind of hard, I don't expect him to like redeem himself anytime soon per se, but like I want them to make it work, and I want their lips to caress each other in the evening mist.
True. Eggman got fucking exploded into space.
Did you
See, he's not a real fan.
Yeah, you don't know.
He died at the end of Sonic 2. They brought him back. It doesn't, because Jim Carrey has always been a little uncertain of what movies he's going to come back for. He doesn't usually do sequels. He's already said, I'm thinking about Sonic 4, and the way he phrased it was like, you know,
He said he'd be down.
yeah, like in terms of other movies, I'm thinking of taking a power nap, but I'm not going to retire or take a full
I don't
like
know.
break.
If he survives, I'm gonna have a lot of questions because there's no way he could survive. something
If you
like
watch
that.
the end of Sonic 2, you'd be saying the same fucking thing. I'm a real fan. You're not. I love Agent Stone. Shut
Just continue with your
I will
notes.
say- well, before you continue, I do want to say, fucking, did you tear up when he did the whole? It's been a real drag.
No.
It's for nothing.
No, because it's Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
But Agent Stone, I've said it twice
Oh,
before.
you mean
and
an
I'll say it
actor?
again. I don't know about you two. I'm not gonna say we. I stand. I wish Agent Stone was my hot dad, and I wish Amy was my hot mom, and I wish we could all fuck.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Gosh. So you're not only an incest.
This is like his most one of his most explicit things that he said on the podcast.
No, I'm not into self-cess.
He farted 14 minutes in. He came like twice.
All right. So what else are your notes?
Okay, a lot of people have complained that Director Rockwell, like, her quote-unquote arc in the movie doesn't go anywhere, and I feel like it probably got cut out of the movie, but they're gonna make it, like, something later where, like, Commander Walter is gonna... I keep worrying I'm getting his name wrong. The Commander is going to retire, and she is going to take his place. And the whole point of her acting kind of suspicious is like, I think either she is going to treat Sonic and friends differently, or like she's going to treat like their whole family different. You know what I mean? Like she's going to be less lenient on things than Walters was, because he comes off as a very like polite, like even when he does something of moral ambiguity, it's kind of like he's doing it for his country. Where I think Director Rockwell is going to be like, she's seen all of the destruction Sonic and friends have caused, and
the
she's
moon
like,
is in fucking...
Yeah, the moon is still in half.
They split the moon in half.
You know what? I said they did it for no reason. Maybe that's why. Maybe she's gonna look up like outside of her office window and see that
the destruction.
She's like,
I like how no one acknowledged that, by the way, on Earth. Like, no one cared.
no one.
They just didn't have time.
They'll look later.
Be like, hey, did you notice the moon looks a little...
Okay, yes, we talked about this a couple months ago. Because this Sonic is like younger and growing up. Like, okay, so Tails and Knuckles, he has friends. Shadow, he has like a respect for, kind of an uneasy alliance, like a rival, kind of.
Yeah.
Amy, for once, her feelings might not be one-sided or unrequited. Sonic may get a crush on her, and because of the way that they framed him as like someone growing up, I would believe it. And I don't think they're ever going to lean fully into it, or like they're going to have a passionate makeout scene. God damn it, I'm so unlucky. But they'll tease them throughout the series. They'll have cute moments together.
Not only that, but she is portrayed as
the sexiest thing I've ever seen.
Being the at least more ready to battle.
Yeah, ready to battle.
True. We may have to have a talk after this episode about your unquenching thirst for this.
Ryan, I'm sorry, I'm not into axes.
Hedgehog.
Hammers, I'm willing to give it a shot.
The birds and the beads.
No, I don't like Jet the Hawk the way you do. Let's see.
I'm talking about Wave, because she swallows.
For the uninformed, Wave's full name is Wave the Swallow, because she's part of a group of bird people.
Okay.
This does not excuse Ryan's heinous crimes.
Hold on, just one very appropriate second. That was a knee slapper. I'm sorry, anyways.
You don't know what the word appropriate means.
No, I do.
I had this idea for 5 seconds, and I don't know what to make of it, but, like, it's weird that well, it's not weird that they haven't done it yet. It wouldn't really have a place in these 3 films so far. But, like, the Ark isn't destroyed. It's pushed away.
Well, it blows up.
Yeah, it blew up in the end.
What? Oh, fuck.
Oh, bro.
That's what created
Right.
That's what I said. He blew up in space.
So, okay. Well, I should explain where my head was at. I thought Shadow just teleported away.
No.
And it survived, and I was gonna say Jim Carrey Eggman will stay in space throughout like Sonic 4, and either in 4 or 5, his whole thing is he will, because they mentioned nano machines. Him and Gerald use nanotech now.
Yeah.
I figured like Eggman's gonna stay there, Shadow goes back to Earth, but while he's alone, he uses nano machines to make the Ark into a bigger thing, and it's gonna be the Death Egg.
Yeah.
At some point, they're gonna go the Death Egg. And it's gonna be way more grandiose, because it's not just like one room in a fucking cannon. The Death Egg is like, it's the Death Star. It's like a planetoid.
Yeah. Is it
with his face on it.
It's meant to be an homage to the Death Star.
Is it shaped like an egg?
It's meant to be his face
in
on
the comics, but it's a sphere, but it's got the mustache and eyes. Anyway,
Of course it is.
now knowing that the Ark, I mean, they could explain it with nanotech. Oh, I made a planet out of nothing.
Which the Ark kind of had it was a lot weirder.
It looks like Gerald's face in SA2, whereas in this it's just like a thing with the cannon.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not really going anywhere. After Amy and Metal Sonic, what characters do you think are next, and how do you think they're going to be introduced? Because really, like, the only other one I think we can most definitively say is Black Doom will eventually be a thing.
He will eventually be a thing. I don't know if that'll happen in the next per se, but I do think that Rouge is almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
She's one of the main people one of the main characters that people want to see.
I know a lot of people complain she wasn't in this movie, but I'm totally okay with her not.
She didn't really have a place in it, to be fair.
Because there's like 11 characters that they're managing, and they do it pretty well, honestly.
Everyone gets enough screen time.
Like, unfunny Jim Carrey humor aside, like the way they juggle character screen time is like, they do a really good job with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, Gerald, Shadow, Agent Stone, Tom and Maddie, and Commander Walters and Rockwell.
If I can say, I know we've kind of shit on Jim Carrey a bit here, but like, despite all of Jim Carrey's like humor, I do think he acted differently enough between both Robotniks that I was able to see them both as their own characters, and I think that could be accredited because that's not easy to do.
It's not.
He has to get into that role, and I think he did. Like, I remember when they were standing by and trying to, like, it was when Gerald was trying to keep track of Super Sonic and Super Shadow fighting, and when Eggman's like, oh, they're up there or something, I remember just looking at them side by side, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, they're both Jim Carrey. I was like, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't realize that for a little minute. I think I even leaned over and said, like, is that Jim Carrey? I was like, yeah. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was both them.
Yeah, and it took me a minute to, like, be like, oh yeah, because they make that joke early on, like, oh, it's almost like we're two characters being played in the movie. Looks right at the screen.
Yeah, being played by the same person.
Like, you get it there, but then, like, I don't know, I was able to kind of...
As the movie goes on,
it
feels more natural.
It just feels more natural. I just wanted to call attention to that, because I know we kind of shit on Jim Carrey a bit. Like,
that is commendable.
His sense of humor is just not for me, and I think it, even for, like, the other, like, standard of humor I don't enjoy in the movies, it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
I will never say that Jim Carrey's a bad actor, because he's excellent.
Yeah, he's not...
He's a good actor.
It's just the way his characters are written sometimes that are
just not my
disagreeable.
cup of tea.
I will also say that I have hope for a Shadow and Maria type show, because Gerald wasn't ruined in that.
It would help explain more of, like, you don't really get to see exactly how Gerald interacts with Maria.
Well, not just that, but the only time we see him is when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
And he's very clearly like, we gotta go. Like, he's all seriousness at this point. He's like, we have to leave. Like, they're coming for Shadow.
Yeah.
And when Shadow and Gerald are right there, he's like crying. He's like, they took away. Like, and maybe this is something that they could go into, is how, like, because I still like to believe that he went mad and lost his
sanity.
Fucking mind. Like, I don't like to believe, like, oh, Gerald was always like this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he like
lost
Eggman,
his family,
like Eggman, or the other Ivo was a bit more self-aware, but he just kept slowly losing it the more that he just engaged with Sonic. He was like, this fucking hedgehog.
Yeah.
Like, just, so I like to imagine it was a slow decline.
Yeah, he's had 50 years to be isolated in a prison.
And that'll do something to anybody.
After you've lost somebody and it was someone else's fault, you want revenge.
Mm-hmm. All because this one soldier just didn't have the safety on.
But yeah, I think it makes sense that there can still be room for Rouge, and they have a good way to explain it, because after Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow, like, he's probably the most introverted of all, like, the main Sonic cast. Like, he doesn't get, like, a wacky sense of humor. He doesn't get more laid back the way that Sonic does. He's always, like, kind of clinging to his past a bit and just trying to, like, find his own way in life. So he spends a lot of alone time just kind of, like, brooding or relaxing. And in that sense, Rouge is kind of like Shadow's Tails, in that, like, it's someone to kind of anchor him down and be, like, emotional support. It's just treated more seriously than with Sonic and Tails, because he's a little wacky guy.
I don't know how this would fit, but I think a perfect introduction for Rouge would be, she's technically an agent of Gun, but she sees the Master Emerald and wants it. Like, and that, by effort of her stealing it, because it's guarded by fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
But plot point, when that happens, it causes problems to arise in the story. So I don't know how that would work.
And that...
You know what? That could work for a Metal Sonic plot, because they could just be like, alright, this is getting out of hand, we may as well just go Super, and then they're like, where's the fucking Emerald?
And that's how you get Knuckles involved, because he cares the most about the Master Emerald, and they tease like Knuckles and Rouge throughout the series.
And then at the end, she could be looking for a different treasure, and it could be hinted that it's Shadow.
Yeah. Like, oh, what's this ultimate power thing I've heard about throughout the galaxy?
He finds him in containment where fucking E102 Omega could be.
Don't do this to me. Okay, alright. Anyway, I think this is part of a larger, like, what other games can they adapt? Because, okay, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog Heroes, yeah, we know. That's on the table. After that, besides doing their own original plots, which I'd be interested to see, other Sonic games...
You may not like my answer.
I think... Okay, Shadow the Hedgehog, we've already talked about that. I think there's like 4. I think there's like 4 Sonic games that pretty well adapt to cinema the way that Adventure 2 does. Adventure 1, 06, Unleashed, for like a globetrotting adventure, and Forces, because that's, if you want, that whole kind of movie of like, oh, the villain's already taken over the world, we got a revolution.
I was thinking about something else while you were talking. Say it again, the list.
Adventure 1, 06, Unleashed, and Forces.
Okay, so you got it.
Because Forces has a pretty cinematic concept.
Yes. That could work.
They'll wait until when people like Forces because of nostalgia, like 15 years from now. But like,
I was definitely thinking 06 could be a movie style portrayal.
So, okay, movie 4 will be Heroes. Movie 5, I think they'll do Shadow's thing first. And then movie 6, I think we get 06.
They could do after 4, they could do Adventure 1. And then they could do Shadow. I'm gonna say leave 06 for like an ending, because that's the type of thing where you have to... Sonic's going to die. He has to for that plot to progress and make from it, but then the payoff is he comes back to life.
Yeah, he'll come back, yeah.
That's a real hit for the audience. And you want that to feel epic.
I think...
And plus that one involves time travel, so it's been long enough where we haven't engaged time travel. Because when you pull out time travel, that's Pandora's box. You open anything.
So, the thing I've been thinking is, like you were saying, like, why do they have to do time travel for Sonic CD? And, like, that makes sense. They don't have to, because Amy and Metal are here. That's all you need. And then you can do Heroes, which is a non-time travel story. That makes more sense. 06, I don't know if you would hate me for this. I feel like you could tell that story without time travel. I feel like you can, because the two most important new characters in 06 are Silver, who wants to kill Sonic because I think you can more rewrite it to like Silver sees Sonic as a threat. Like, he's still too reckless with this power. He's a danger to the universe. I've been sent from somewhere else to stop him. And then Methless, I don't think you have to do the whole like, oh, I look like Shadow because I saw him 10 years ago. I think you can just do it like Methless wants to copy who he thinks is the most powerful. And while Silver is worried at Sonic, Methless is in his own little side of the story. And he recognizes that Shadow is like the ultimate life form.
Well, Methless can choose who he...
Exactly. Yeah, so he chooses Shadow. And it doesn't have to involve time travel. That can just be his like motivation.
Well, you know why he chose him, right?
Because he saw him in the lab, yeah.
Well, yeah, because he saw him in the past, and because he recognized Shadow's power was like...
Yeah, so he could just do that in the present, and then make that decision on screen, and it's like, oh, cool. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Just to avoid that, like, every time travel story has a 95% chance of being picked apart by everyone, they can do it, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. I'm just saying there's options on the table. It's more my point.
I guess my option is, if you're going to do it, I would rather you save it for a time when it's actually necessary, and Silver's case is the most dramatic case of, oh, this is necessary for him to kind of have that backstory, because otherwise he wouldn't be so into, like, killing Sonic. He wouldn't think so badly, like...
That's true, because otherwise he's a good guy.
Yeah, because otherwise he does not want to cross that line, but, like, when he learns that, hey, this guy started all this, he's like, this motherfucker.
I should provide context for this. So, Silver in 06 is from the future. The future looks like, checks notes like this, everything's just on fire and everything's a destroyed city.
And they're barely
Silver-
looking for survivors. They're like, there's barely people alive.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's like
happens?
Silver and his friend, and like that's kind of it that you see. Silver is told, even though it's not true, that Sonic is the one who caused the apocalypse. Like, someone shows him like a vision of Sonic, and they say, if you kill Sonic, we can fix the future and things can go back to normal.
No.
So Silver goes back in time to kill Sonic, even though otherwise he is a good guy. He cares a lot about morals, and a lot of 06 is him saying like, is this right for me to do? But then Sonic acts fucking annoying, and Silver's like, yeah, well, maybe it is.
I can agree with that. You know, that's a vibe. That's a vibe.
The thing, though, is that
That's a vibe.
Mephiles wanted him to kill Sonic because Sonic is mostly paired up with a human girl in that movie, like as a companion, and so when if she were to cry, she lets loose the thing that causes the world to look like that.
Yeah, which Mephiles wants to happen.
Something was sealed within her.
The
years ago.
whole point is that
Okay.
a weird
Mephiles
plot, but-
needs
Yeah.
Mephiles needs Sonic to die so that he can be the one in control of the future.
He needs the girl to cry, and she ends up, by proxy of being kidnapped by Eggman and Sonic rescuing her, they build up a kind of like friendship where it's like, oh, well, she appreciates him, and she barely gets out. She appreciates Sonic for being who he is,
See,
and by proxy of that,
you see the look on Will's face. I'm not saying everything has to be for general audiences, but this is why I avoided explaining that, and why I think they can.
oh yeah,
tone down
they can
Elsie's
definitely
story.
tone it down.
It's not. Look, don't get me wrong. I don't hate like Princess Elise. I don't
Oh,
hate.
it's just
anything
no, it's
like
it's a
that.
dumb plot.
It's just like you saw how they toned down SA2 story. We don't see the moon blow up for the reason it does. We don't need Rouge. Prison Island doesn't explode. The Master Emerald isn't shattered. They take out a lot, but you get the emotional beats and the character motivations, and that's why we like SA2. It's not because the Master Emerald explodes. It's because Shadow goes through an arc, and I think hypothetically, if they wanted to, they could do that with Silver and Mephiles. I'm cool either way.
Listen, all I'm saying is that I've already subscribed to the Sonic Cinematic Universe.
That's a weird sense. To
I'm
say.
not subscribed to it. I like some of the articles I've read. Some of them piss me off.
Fair enough.
But every time I go in 7-Eleven and I'm getting a Danish and I'm getting a coffee, I look at that magazine rack near the entrance to the store and I'm like, yeah, no, I still don't want to subscribe. But like, what's this month's issue?
Yeah.
I'll watch Sonic 4 when it comes out. I'll probably get a boner. I don't know if it's gonna last all the way through.
What would you do if the second Amy does appear on screen, she says, "Have no fear, Amy Rose is here"?
I've never liked that line.
I know. It's a dumb line.
I think the point is that you're not supposed to like it because she's being a little shit in that
Yeah.
scene. It's tongue in cheek, but no, don't do this to me.
I don't know. I could go into a bunch more theories. The only other callback I wanted to see was I wanted to. It's not a nitpick. It's more of just like pointing out a thing. But it's in Prison Island, the guy behind the screen. You know who that was? That was one of the Lonely Island guys.
Every time,
I was like, why is he there?
every time
Why him?
I have been forced to listen to a Lonely Island song in your car,
What, twice?
I have died inside. For what? I don't know.
I don't play them often.
This is another like Drew's brain doesn't make sense, but like
I probably played them like twice, but I'm
songs that
not
are
super into them.
completely comedic in nature are like. I guess the best way I can explain it is like I listen to music to feel a mood, but laughter isn't. It's like a different kind of experience for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
You partake in laughter.
when
with music, you can
when the
flow.
peas get in the mashed potatoes. Like, no, I'm not gonna spit it out, but like I'd kind of rather they be separate. Does that make sense?
I get it. You prefer things. You prefer that you don't mix up the genres.
Yeah.
Oh. Paris has her hands under the door.
She was peeking under there too.
Oh, well, that's the post credit scene for Sonic 4. It's
Blaze the
it's
cat.
a cat.
That would actually kill Drew.
Okay, he's coming again.
But
What would a movie blaze look like? I have to know. You guys talk about things I don't care
well, hold
about.
on. We'll do that in just a sec. All right. Well, it's your turn.
Now it's time to admit.
He sounds so.
Now it's time to talk about the best movie ever made, Polar Express. No, it's not.
What to fucking say? Could gargle my yards.
Okay. Listen. Let me. You guys have had your fanboy Sonic moment. Now I have my fanboy moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first to admit, Polar Express is by no means perfect, and I probably do see through most of it with rose-tinted goggles because, again, I grew up watching it. It has a lot of nostalgia for it. But I think there are some genuinely good parts about the movie that still hold up to this day.
Before you go too deep into it, just for context,
Yeah, like why are we talking about that?
we saw Polar Express the same day as we saw Sonic. We saw Polar Express first in IMAX. Then we had lunch and went and saw Sonic
in
after.
IMAX 3D, might I add, which was a really cool experience, but also kind of trippy for me. Because I had never seen it in 3D, but it was kind of cool. I feel like it's better in 3D than not because the way the camera angles are, the way some of them kind of pan in and pan out, it works good, but in some aspects it might not be. But anyways, so before I get into what I like about it, I want to hear your guys' general opinions. I know Drew overall likes it. Ryan, I'm kind of not too sure where you stand on it exactly. So take it away, my friend.
So he starts reading his 5 paragraphs of his show notes. I was never a happy child.
So I will go into my 4 pros before I get into my 10 cons.
Oh God.
So I will.
Is this what I sound like?
So I didn't have any problems with like the majority of the story. It was a fine story. It's a fine like adventure story. I liked the weird ghost man.
The hobo.
He was just kind of whatever, and I was just like, fuck it, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Why did he put the did you start recording again?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I will forget this.
No, it's fine.
Why did he put the sock in the coffee?
What a sock? I didn't even know. I couldn't tell.
I don't know.
That's why he spits out
either
the coffee. It's not because he doesn't like coffee. It's because
he takes the
tastes
sock
like
out of the
feet.
jug.
And
Well,
then the next scene, he
my
takes
guess-
the sock out of the pot.
I have 2 theories. Either A, that was his only way to clean it. Don't ask me why he used coffee. Or B, the more likely reason is that he used it as like a strainer to like actually get the coffee out. Like maybe he put like the grounds and the beans and used it as like almost like a tea bag.
I guess.
Maybe. I don't know.
No
I don't know.
idea.
I don't know how the hobos.
I didn't even see that. But there were some. I wrote, "It's a classic," I guess.
that sums it up, kind of.
It's not a classic to me. It was the first time I saw it, but like I could see where it would be a classic. But like, I'll get into why I don't think that. So I'm sorry that one of my pros even has like a con to it. Interesting magical contraptions for the North Pole city.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it was pretty creative how they kind of fleshed out the North Pole and.
I did appreciate that, how they were very creative in that. To the 10 cons now. Definitely dated animation. I'm not pulling any punches. It's not as bad as what people say.
Yeah.
It's all
But it's still dated.
I can concede that. I do feel.
It's not distractingly awful.
Yeah, it's not like Food Fight.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not.
I know.
It's not terrible.
To give you PTSD.
It's not terrible video game CGI.
I feel like there are certain aspects where it holds up, but there are aspects where it definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
I can concede that though.
Second, this might be my biggest complaint. Too many shots of people looking into the camera like it's meant to mean something. Like, it's magical and shit, like, who fucking cares? Like, when the ticket not even the ticket, but like when they're just, like, looking back at the kid, and they look forward. And there's just, like, fucking do something. Rudolph actually did shit. Kevin McAllister did shit.
Okay.
These kids aren't doing nothing. They're just staring. Like, like, there's only so much I can handle of that before I get annoyed. And
That's-
I could handle it for like the first 2 times. Once it happened the 5th time, I was out.
I can also concede that somewhat.
I see how this goes now. So you're, what's her name? The dog.
What?
Not in Polar Express. The Christmas special you showed us. Olive. You're Olive.
Oh,
Because you have endless love in your heart. You're the Grinch.
Bob Buggingham.
Wait, no, I was gonna
Bob
say, and then I'm Scrooge because Scrooge goes through a character arc. You are a Grinch that never goes through a character arc. So he's like
I forever.
a Grinch.
I'm forever. mad about
No
Christmas.
way, dude! He's actually awesome. No.
This third one's more of a personal con. It's forced sentimentality towards a holiday of bullshit.
I can understand that. I know, like,
They're always about Christmas. It's such a magical season. It's like,
I know, yeah.
fucking cares.
I know you've had your bad experiences with that, so I can understand that, and I don't fault you for that.
Santa gave him coal because he likes Sonic 2 without having to go through a character arc.
Also, con number 4. Santa apparently eats carrots with his milk this year because he ain't fat, bitches.
I know where you got that from.
Should I go into the story? I feel like
We'll get into Santa later.
We'll get into Santa,
So,
but like,
Will and I
not
were
the carrot thing.
Will and I were talking before he went on his little like Christmas break. As we were about to punch out for work.
Yeah.
When you gaslighted the shit out of me.
I think I was talking about cookies.
Yeah.
Yes, you were.
I made some joke about leaving out cookies for Santa, and you were like, "Don't forget the carrots." I'm like, "What?" And you explained.
Do I have to explain this again?
I will. I am storyteller. I explain all aspects of the story.
He's just give him time.
Trust.
It's okay.
I know that's okay. No, I actually saw this very difficult, but trust. You explained to me that some families leave out carrots for the reindeer and cookies for Santa.
Yes.
And I understood that when you told me. The reason that I told Ryan none of that and rewrote the story such that your family made you dip carrots in milk because they didn't want you to get fat as a little kid. I did that because I was bored. And gaslighting is fun, actually.
I fucking hate you. Go on, Ryan.
Why does Tom Hanks voice everyone?
That I can't really answer, but we can get into that as well.
None of those kids even have names. I had to look it up to find out that the main hero boy was named Chris.
Yeah.
What? Okay, no, I'm gonna fight you on this. It's a digression. Why I don't think characters need names.
They
It's their
don't need
personalities
names.
to stick out.
They
This is
don't-
not-
The only one that's named
No,
is Billy.
but I think that the main character should at least have a name.
I feel like the reason they didn't name him is that you can picture...
So he can be a proxy for anyone.
Exactly, yeah. You can picture yourself being that
Which is
character.
fine.
Yeah.
But my whole point is when you know a character's name, you can still relate to them. So it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah.
If you can relate to a character, you can relate to a character. This is point number 4.
It's a minor nitpick. It's a con for me. It's just I find it easier when someone has a name. That's just a personal thing for me.
I have to accept this is your Sonic 2.
This is in addition with the shots being focused on shit that doesn't matter or facial expressions that don't convey shit. Too many shots of the camera just focused on irrelevant things that are supposed to be mystical or magical. I get that the train is important. I was interested in that ticket for all of 30 seconds, and it goes on for 8 minutes.
Oh, that's like my favorite part, though.
It's a
Wait,
cool
what?
Okay, hold on.
It's a cool part, but like...
Is it the bit where it flies out the train, you follow the wolves, bird, poop...
It's that it goes everywhere. It's that it goes on this impossible journey where, like, it's been turned into bird food and then a snowball and then a fucking like. This thing would have been wrecked.
Yeah,
by that.
I can concede that, but
the logic is that it's saved by Christmas magic. And,
Well-
well, I don't believe in that shit.
I don't. Here's the thing on that. I can agree with you on the whole why isn't the ticket destroyed? But I feel the whole Christmas thing. I don't know if that scene necessarily is supposed to convey that more or less. At least that's not how I picked up. I think it was more so just.
It's just showing the animation.
Yeah, all they did, they just did say, "Oh, look how cool our animation is," and stuff like that, because they wanted like a little time lapse and a sequence and stuff, and they need a way for the ticket to get back on the train and stuff, and so they did that weird sort of thing. It doesn't really convey Christmas to me personally.
No, but I'm more or less making up an excuse for it.
But yeah, that's like one of my favorite scenes though, just because of how I just like the look.
It does look good.
We'll get
to me.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have nostalgia for it, so
That's fair.
It's a slower paced film where it feels like less happens compared to like obviously something like Sonic.
We'll get into like what I think are the pros once you guys have said your piece, and how I feel like the movie is still good and the kind of the overall feel of it. But go on, Ryan.
Kid with huge head and tiny eyes who says Christmas doesn't work for me, but then gives no explanation ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
You told me that character doesn't have a name. It's Will. I had to make the joke.
I
once.
never said that. First of all,
To be
so you're
fair, his
making
name
up
is
shit.
Billy, so yeah.
It's Billy.
What? No.
Yes, it's
No.
Billy.
Yeah, it's Billy.
You said that.
No. Billy is the young kid.
That's what I said. Kid with
Yeah.
tiny eyes.
That's
I said
the poor kid. That's his name's Billy.
the big head and tiny eyes.
The
kid.
one who sits in the caboose for like half the film.
Oh, I don't think of him as having big head. No, I know what you mean.
You're thinking of the know-it-all.
But I heard big head, and then like my brain like
No, not
auto-filled.
Yeah. The fucking
I got
Mandark.
it.
Mandark, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I
it's
know.
fine.
I know.
Will, you're not Billy.
Kid with huge head and fucking. I get that he doesn't have to explain it, but like.
See, that's like it's harder to relate to him because it could be more concrete reasons.
Yeah, because it could be anything. You like, oh, why doesn't it work for you? Is it a family thing? Is it a Christmas thing?
I feel
Is it
like-
this thing, is it that thing? Have you ever gotten a present? What? Tell me what.
I feel like from the context clues we could pick up on, it might be a family thing, but he seems to be quite poor.
Well, that's also it. It's like, okay, there's no lights outside of his house. Is he poor? We don't know that. Maybe the family just decided to fucking randomly decorate when he left. Who knows? I don't fucking know. And that's what bothers me. It's like, they don't even give you a hint of anything other than, it just doesn't work for me. I need at least little more. Rail something. Like, be like, oh, well, sometimes Dad gets mad. Something. Sometimes Dad doesn't want to celebrate. Something like that.
I can understand that. I feel like we can get into that later. I feel like I might.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's one of my nitpicks. Nerd Kid. Moving on.
Will.
Number 2.
I will fucking kill you.
Mandark Jabroni ass. Anyway.
Enough said. Move on.
Jabroni.
I agree with you.
And number 10.
Nerd kid.
Number 10, my final point. Nothing is happening. That means tension, right? There's moments where, again, much like how the camera will just sit and rent, like on a shot, like I often think of that train when it's like doing the spinning, like where they've just gone backwards, you know? The caboose just went backwards.
When they're on the lake?
No, when they're like rotating on that.
Oh, the turntable.
Yeah, the turntable platform.
Oh yeah,
And they're just like, and they're walking on those beams, and I was like, this is tension, huh? No one slips and, oh no, I'm gonna fall.
Yeah, because
nothing.
character up high in vast bottomless cabin in bottom.
But no one like slips so far. Like they kind of like slip a little bit, but I'm like,
Billy slips a bit, but that was it.
I don't care.
And then they just stop midway through, and
But
like, what the fuck are we doing?
That shit happens like a few times throughout this movie where it's just like, even in the train where it's like, oh no, we're steering back and forth. It's like, I know what's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's so written on the walls, I'm not worried about it. And then, even though the train is clearly in the fucking water, they just get out like
let's just get the elephant out of the room and talk about that whole scene right now. Logically, that whole scene with the trains on the ice makes no sense whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a multi-ton locomotive with a full rig of carriages filled with passengers that doesn't break the ice, yet a cotter pin does. Not to mention, too, the fact that they somehow come... Are you okay, Drew?
It's irrelevant. Keep talking.
They somehow come to a stop, and then bring up steam and go, like, you know, make traction start moving when, you know, if you know how trains work, that wouldn't fucking work on ice at all. There's a reason why wet leaves on train tracks stop trains.
There's a reason why when a train is derailed, it's a big thing.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah,
When a train's
it would
derailed,
not be able
it's done.
to move, let alone get that fast on solid ice.
Now, if you want to explain, like, oh, Christmas magic pushes the train, okay, fine, you can do that. Don't pretend like it's a work of engineering
And
that it got back to the fucking...
The way they, like, somehow make it turn left and right, I don't think that's even possible either.
No, the second that shit starts turning, it's out of control.
And that they managed to time it literally to it's like millimetric perfect and go up the rails, uphill like a 45 fucking degree angle and just like go like 100 miles an hour. I will admit, yes, as my train-loving logical brain says, that scene makes no sense.
Okay, I can't believe of all three of us, I'm the one that's making this argument. There are some things where, yes, you do have to turn your brain off, and I don't ascribe that to like I don't think you can do that for character motivation, or like we have to do this because according to the plot, blah blah blah. But like they want the train to be in danger.
Yeah.
If the train literally derailed and it were more realistic, at least comparatively so, it would be more difficult to show how they get back on the tracks.
Yeah, because what are they gonna do?
Christmas movie, winter ice. It's sliding on the ice. You just have
because
to
if it derails, what are they gonna
You're
do?
both losers.
Like have like 3 people pick up a 60-ton locomotive?
Correction. Will's a loser. Because I didn't give a shit of what happened to that train if it got derailed. The fact that it was just stupidly swerving. My point was nothing is happening, that means tension, right? I knew right away that train was just going to get back on and didn't fucking matter.
Yeah, I know.
That was my point.
In that
I didn't care about the fact of the engineering difficulty about it. I don't give a shit. I can excuse that to Christmas magic and shit. But the fucking Christmas magic was bullshit.
I excuse the swerving specifically because it's like it's helping build the tension. This is the most tense scene in the film. I do see what you mean. They do linger on it a little bit, but because it's by far the most tense thing in the movie, it's like, pun not intended, I'll let it slide. Like, I'm feeling the impact of this scene lingering a little more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like the ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I do get where you guys are coming from.
I feel that scene, that definitely has issues. And there's another, again, my like realism brain gets triggered every now and then with like the train and stuff like that. Not to mention the fact that the coaches aren't consistent. Like they either have like 5 or like 50. But it's like movie, whatever. So.
I think when CinemaSins Andy mentality is justified is like I think I have to ask myself like, does this thing that doesn't make sense in a movie, is it something that most people would catch on to?
Yeah.
Or is it something that like well, you don't really think about it too much?
Here's the thing, and this is going to make a lot of sense when I say it.
I hate Christmas.
You guys initially walked out of Sonic 3 saying that didn't work for me. You came around, you're kind of like on the fence about the whole thing. The whole point though that I'm going to make is when you aren't into a movie, when a movie doesn't have you on a hook, you start noticing all these flaws.
That is true.
And you start really getting like anal about them.
Now this is where I fucking Uno reverse.
Go for it.
Now do you understand why I was acting like a man-child piss baby for the Sonic 2 review?
Yes, I do. I get it. It's just that for me, I was hooked. I didn't understand how you didn't. That was my problem.
And
I didn't understand. I do, but it's like, for me, with this movie in particular, I wasn't that into it. I was more of a curious bystander, just kind of passively watching. I wasn't like, oh, I wonder what happens to this person. While meanwhile in the Sonic 3 movie, it's like, I care about Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and I want to see what happens to them. I'm invested in that story.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I'm not invested in nameless characters. The reason I say they're nameless to me, and the reason that's important to me, is because then, when I don't put a face to a name, their character means nothing to me. They're essentially if the camera were to then point to another person and they gave a name, suddenly that character matters more, because now I know this character clearly is more established than this other character.
So you say it in kind of like, oh, the film is going out of its way to give this character a name. Now I know Now
I know that this character means something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, other than mystical looking, what's going on? It's like, for all we know, Billy could have been the lead at the end of the movie. It could have just randomly started peering towards him, and
because he has a name.
Because he gets called out. I'm not saying it's a perfect, like, it's my nitpick at the end of the day, but it's what I pay attention to, and
it definitely makes sense when you put it that way.
Yeah, it does.
It's just more logically to where I'm like, if the camera were focused on anything, like that, for 5 minutes of the movie, that ticket was the main goddamn character. Yeah. And it bothered me, because I'm like, I don't give a shit about this ticket. They could just say, because in my mind, trains in the back of my head, I'm like, well, who travels by fucking locomotive now? Just fucking, well, and if they have fucking Christmas magic, just conjure a fucking another one.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
okay,
he could just pull one out of his ass. I'm like, they didn't have them to begin with, now they have them, that's magic or whatever. I'm like, why does this matter?
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Those are the nitpicks in my head, because I'm not super invested in the movie. I'd be able to forgive it if I were more like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I'm okay with this, because this is Chris, and he's on his adventure. Chris is going from here to here to here. No, he's just Hero Boy.
Yeah, he's just main. He's main character number one.
The other is Girl.
Yeah,
she's whatever.
Literally just Girl.
I learned Billy because they said his name once in the movie.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of felt more sympathy for him when he had to give up his present, because that's like, oh, Billy has to do something really important, and he has to decide, does he want to be selfish, aka naughty in whatever's eyes, or does he give it up? And he gave it up, and I was like,
and he got it back in the end too.
Yeah, and it's like, that was a character moment. I was like, I
the Billy arc,
him.
The Billy arc of Polar Express,
the Billy arc of Sonic Adventure 2.
All right, so have you said your piece, Brian?
I'm done.
Brian, wait. He's holding the present when he's on top of the giant sandbag. Is this what Maria would have wanted?
Nerdy kid comes up to Mandark comes up to him. Soon you will have revenge on a scale that is impossible.
All right, Drew. What is your overall feelings and takeaways, pros and cons, rather, of Polar Express 2?
I'm gonna be completely honest.
Polar Express 2 and
Knuckles edition.
So here's my thesis statement for the whole show, for both this and Sonic 3, is I didn't really understand what the point of the Sonic movies were until I finally tried looking into what everyone was raving about. Because people weren't raving about Tom and Maddie or Jim Carrey's performance. Well, okay, some people were, and I don't fuck with that. But like,
some people are. I
it wasn't about that. Yeah. Everyone was raving about Sonic and Shadow, and like, oh, this moment with Knuckles, and that got me to better appreciate everything else in the wider movies. And like, I listened to, like, I think the closest thing on YouTube I have found to how I felt about the Sonic movies before was Arlo's review of Sonic 2, where he's just like, why is any of this? He's focused on the why. Yeah. And all the comments are saying, well, you didn't really, this isn't a good review because, like, you're not looking at everything kind of you're not trying to be more objective. And it's not a review, though, of Sonic 2. I don't know if that's what the original title was. It's not anymore. It's his feelings on it. And he doesn't understand why these stupid fucking movies exist. And that's where I was 2 years ago. But now that I've come around on the movies and I can better appreciate them, I listen to our review, and here's the thing. I still agree with everything you said.
Oh no, you can totally, like, that's why I never.
These are Sonic 3 is the best Alvin and the Chipmunks movie that will ever be made. and it will never be topped.
I still can't accept that, just given how
not
Alvin and
Sonic
Chipmunks
3,
is.
but you know what I mean. With he's in the real world.
I know.
John White. Oh, the Eggman's doing a dance. I just fuck off. But when it's cool, it's cool.
Can I just say that Alvin and the Chipmunks, one of those movies, I don't know which one, it called back to a worse movie than anything else in the world.
You're not gonna say Pink Flamingos is bad. You can tell me you don't like Pink Flamingos. You're not.
Are you gonna say it's a child-appropriate movie to call back to?
Of course not. But that's why the joke is cool.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying.
Eggman says, "Damn, we can teeter on Code Yellow. It's okay."
Alright.
Anyway, the reason I brought this up was because, not that, like, I went through that arc with Polar Express. No, I just thought it was, like, okay when I was 5, and then I watched it a week ago, and I thought it was fine. And there are some things I was, oh, okay.
On the
and there's
day
some
when
things I'm
it
like,
would stop raining.
And the whole point of me bringing up my Christmas Carol arc with Gerald Carey is because I'm in front of 4 people right now. Ryan and Will, but when I look at Ryan, I see me 2 years ago. And when I look at Will, I see me now. And, like, my third fucking eye is opening because it's so, like... I agree with both. I agree completely. Conceptually, I have all of Ryan's problems, but if I have to deal with what the final product is, I agree with Will that, like, you know what? I think it kind of accomplishes its job, and when it's good, it's good. When it fucks around, it fucks around, but when it's good, it's good. So continue, my clones.
So in terms of, like...
My clones.
So for...
My clown clones.
To build off what Drew said, in terms of what's good, we kind of talked about this the other day. We were just kind of going into the details in depth, and the main things that I quite like from the movie is, like, the certain aspects from it. First off, the soundtrack is amazing.
That's good.
I will say, I love the soundtrack. And like I said before, the animation holds up good. Not necessarily with the human characters, but, like, well, I mean, sometimes it looks okay, but, like, with the backgrounds, the atmosphere, the actual details that you see.
They did make an entire street.
Yeah.
And it looks like a rural street. It looks like any other.
It looks good. The train looks really good from a detailed perspective. The North Pole, I think, is really cool and stuff like that. And again, mind you, too, this was made in 2004.
Yeah.
This is like 20 years old.
No, I know. And it's...
I think it holds up good still in terms of, like, certain CGI aspects. Again, the people can be uncanny valley at times. I'm not gonna, argue about that. But I think, sometimes they look good. Sometimes I wish I didn't see the fireman's high fidelity facial hair mustache as he's fucking orgasming in front of a giant horde of caribou. But we're gonna forget like that. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
We're all into different things.
Yeah. And also I like because I'm like such a big nerd about this movie. I've like looked into different details and background stuff like that, and like the fact that it's like set in Grand Rapids in 1957.
That's true.
Which is kind of cool, Michigan call out, which I always like. And if you look at the kid's room, the hero boy Chris, he's got like little details. He's got a U of M pennant above his bed. He's got Tigers baseball bobblehead and a bunch of other stuff. And like the different aspects too, like the first from the opening to when Chris gets on the train is probably the best part of the movie, in my opinion. At least in terms of like what it has to offer.
You mean the first act has the most going on? Is that what you're telling me about Sonic 3?
Anyways, but there's a lot of aspects I like, when his parents are tucking his sister to bed and stuff like that, and talking about like, oh yeah, Santa's gonna come, and then the dad closes his door and you can see the Santa hat hanging out of his pocket, and then Chris goes to his book and he like looks up North Pole. It's like, oh yeah, no life, start there, and blah 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 and stuff like that. Those kind of aspects, because like it gets you into his mindset, because he has like his little evidence thing about like Santa stuff. It like you get the feeling that he wants to believe, but he has his doubts because he's like kind of like logical based. He's like, okay, there's no evidence for it. But what about this? How come we've seen this and stuff like
Oh,
that?
I get that.
You know, and like, you know, that whole thing, the build to the train reveal is really cool and stuff like that. And just the kind of, there's like an air of like kind of mystery around it, I feel. Mystery around the train, its crew, the hobo especially, which I quite like. I know you said you
Yeah, I liked it.
like the character as well. There's like a mystery aspect towards him. It's like, why is he there? What's his purpose? Is he a ghost? Is he a spirit? Why is he like that and stuff like that? And like, there's a lot of aspects around it that I think hold up well. And even getting into the North Pole, I don't know if you noticed, but like, so when the reindeer come out and the elves are jingling all the bells, everyone can hear it except Chris.
Yeah.
And you have the scene where the bell comes off and kind of goes down towards him, and he picks it up, and it's like going down, 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 down,
Yeah.
when he tries to ring it.
Mm-hmm.
And only after he says that he believes, it starts to ring, and only after he says that he believes that you actually see Santa fully. Because up until then, you only saw a shadow when he first came out, and the elves were blocking his view.
Yep.
And then you see him, and when you do see him for the first time, I'm not too sure if this was intentional or not, but he has like this halo-like glow around him in a way. I don't know if you remember. I'll have to show you a picture, but he's got like this kind of golden light around him.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Which it makes sense, because I think it's in some ways meant to be sort of a parallel to like a religious experience. But more broadly, it's like it's an epiphany, and like all of this, you can say it's like a light and dark motif thematically, where like
and
the nature of all this is shrouded in darkness, but now this character is putting faith in the belief of something, and it's like the light is coming out. Like, I realize now, I can see more clearly.
That kind of aura that he emits, and plus, if you like look at him compared to the conductor, he's like 8 feet tall. He's like, he has this like otherworldly presence to him, which I quite admire. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I feel like it kind of hints at something like that.
I don't know. I'm not sure, because it's definitely meant to be out of place. It's definitely meant to call your attention to it, but like, I also wondered, again, why he wasn't a heftier guy.
I mean, maybe it was just the image that they created around him, you know. I mean, he was a big fella, but not like, fat and chubby and like, like like proper Santa stuff that we imagine him today. But again, that might just been, maybe he looked like that in the book, because it is based off the book. I don't know. I haven't read the book. I can't say for certain, but
Gotcha.
I that aspect, I kind of took note of that. And also too, like, there's a lot of like kind of details too that I liked. So when Santa's revealed, and like, all the elves are freaking out at it and stuff like that, they're all cheering, and the kids are all freaking out. You notice the conductor just kind of like tips his hat, and that's it. And he doesn't really even talk to him as well. Like, the only kind of word I say they share is like in the end, where he like takes out his pocket watch, kind of looks at him, it's like, well, time to go. He's like, yep, time to go. And it gives like a hint that like, oh, they've done this before. Like, they've known each other. He's come here like every year. They have kind of like a past relationship, maybe like a working camaraderie, stuff like that. I kind of admired that like little hint that they gave.
Mm-hmm.
Because if this was the conductor's first time seeing him, he would probably be kind of freaking out too. And the fact that he was like, I don't know, not like overly chill, but kind of like more kind of calmer. Like, he was remaining professional. All he did was like tip his hat, gave a little smile and stuff like that. I kind of admired that. Again, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
no, it definitely is.
It brings up like these little like hints and details that I quite like.
Listen, that's why I say the story is fine. I realizing I'm being a cynic asshole. I understand that this story inherently just isn't for me in general. It's just a factor that I just don't know how to word this otherwise. It's like, what works in this movie just doesn't jive with me. It's a pure happenstance that, yes, I can see exactly what this movie was going for, and in it, it's not a bad movie. Mm-hmm. It's not. I quite enjoy a few things about it, and I enjoyed seeing it with you guys. I just didn't feel like this was something that I would call back to. This is something that I would really enjoy seeing. Like, putting in perspective with a different movie, something that's not Sonic related at all. I saw, back in like 2017, I saw The Greatest Showman. I didn't really think much about it. I didn't think much about that movie, but I find myself thinking about it just sometimes in my free time,
Yeah.
where I'll think about like scenes that have happened and scenes that matter to me, and they're not drowned out by a holiday. They're not forced sentimentality. They're not people staring at nothing. They're not just like a lot of the nitpicks that I make in this movie are just because they know the theme. The theme is the plot, and the plot is the theme, and you can't change that. Like, the theme is believing in Christmas, but the fact is, like, unless you're a kid, I'm not really into that. I've grown up a bit, and I'm kind of like unrelated to it. Like, I've taken a step back, so it's like I probably would have liked this when I was younger. I'm just not into it now, and it's nothing against the movie, nothing against my perception of the movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just that I realize a lot more of the nitpicks I have now are just adult nitpicks.
I feel like the way you were describing your feelings with the certain scenes from The Greatest Showman, I have that same way with this movie too. Like, there are certain scenes and aspects that I kind of think about a lot, like the kids exploring the North Pole and stuff like that, going through like where all the elves live, and that kind of like that general ambiance of it. You know, you hear like the old Christmas music playing, and
to be fair, I like that part.
Yeah,
I like when they're going through the city and they're like, oh, this is a weird place.
It's like, I want to like and even like to bring back the ticket scene and stuff like that. When you see those landscapes, it makes me want to like explore that world almost.
Yeah.
It's like what's the story behind this stuff? Yeah, exactly. It made me want to, I think about that scene all the time, and like I want to go into that bit and just explore it and see what it's like. And like the North Pole too, I want to explore that landscape. It did a really good job at that, I feel, and I don't know, I just feel like that's another part of that movie that stays with me.
No, yeah, and it's not bad. It's just not. I guess I've just grown past that. I've grown past the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm into that. It's like, not really.
Yeah,
I'm just not that into it.
So this is where I get to throw my hat into the ring, and I don't know if this will get you to better appreciate the film, but I wonder if you'll end up agreeing with me on this or not.
Okay.
So I was telling Will that my general thoughts on the Polar Express were, yeah, I don't really know what the whole like Christmas spirit thing is when people talk about that in general, but this movie got me to believe in it for 5 minutes by the time of the climax. And I think if the movie did that even for a second, then I think it did its job. Like, that was its primary goal, and for me it worked. But I was asking myself a couple days after, well, why though? Like, why did the film make me feel that way even for a short time? Because what does that feeling really even mean? And it was the first time I asked myself in my life, what is Christmas spirit, and why do I not normally buy into it, and why did the Polar Express get me to be like, I think I get it? And I was talking with you the other day about things I like about the Polar Express, and they weren't things I was thinking about actively while I was watching the movie. This is a thematic parallel to how Drew felt about Sonic 3. Do you see why that's such a weird experience for me? But I was like, there were 3 bits of like characterization that I really liked in the film, and I realized just as I had finished explaining them to you that I think that's ultimately kind of what sold me on the film and bought into its message. One is what you kind of already went over with, like, this kid's having doubts about whether or not he believes in Santa, and like, it's, you know, if you're in a CinemaSins attitude, you're like, but he's on a train and there's hot cocoa, why doesn't he believe? Because he's had doubts all his life. It's meant to be more representative. It's not like, if you were in his shoes, you would probably be like, okay, yeah, this is all real. But the movie's about relating to something in your life, and it's like that feeling you get growing up of like being disillusioned by whatever the fuck Christmas spirit means and figuring out Santa's not real. That's what it's meant to be a parallel for. So it's almost like he sees like other people having fun on the train while he doesn't really know what's going on. And then, other characters hear bells and he doesn't. And you see that doubt in his mind just grow more and more. By the time that bell is dropping on the ground, he doesn't hear anything. And then he tells himself, I believe, after everything he's been through. When he finally hears it, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I buy it. I saw it coming, that scene, the whole way through the movie. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to buy this. But after everything, I bought into it. But something else I want to touch on is, I was asking myself, the hobo's a fun character, but why is he here? Like, what role does he serve in the movie? And I don't know if this was intentional, but the way that I read it is, not everyone believes in ghosts. They may or may not be real, but for people who are more skeptical like me, it can be a hard pill to swallow. And the fact that you don't get an explanation for the hobo, the kid never figures out what's really going on. Was that just in my head? I don't know. I was out in a blizzard. Maybe I went out cold and then I woke up. He never gets an answer. But you notice in a scene later on, like when he's in that room with the toys, like he's alone again and he has time to think, and the hobo's voice is like coming back, like Santa's not really a fucking nibrock.
He's controlling that puppet.
Right,
he's controlling the Scrooge puppet.
Because the hobo's representative of like,
the kid's
hey,
doubts.
You can't prove if I was real, can you prove if Santa was real?
Yeah.
And it's like, I've never thought of it like that, like believing ghosts like believing
And
Santa.
if you notice too, he is the only person that notices him.
He's the only one, yeah.
No other kid sees him. The conductor doesn't notice him. No one sees him. It's only the kid that actually sees him. And I told you about this the other day, but I didn't tell you, Ryan. There was a deleted scene from the movie where the engineer and the fireman explain kind of the ghost's more or less origin story, where he was a ghost that rode the train and got killed at that flat top tunnel, the one they were skiing towards, and that's why he is like a spirit that haunts the train, but they got rid of it, and I'm kind of glad they did.
I'm glad they did because
it adds to the mystery to it. Yeah. It's
I think the whole point of
what
there
you see.
being mystery is that's like the first big thing that gets the kid to ask, like, maybe I should just kind of go with it. Maybe I shouldn't question everything.
He straight up asks the kid, do you believe in ghosts? Yeah. And when the kid says no, he's like, interesting. And then he just goes.
Yeah. And then he comes back.
And you'll see him, like, disappear.
And if you got an explanation in the epilogue of, like, oh, well, I heard that in 1956, when the Polar Express was in Boston, you would have started asking questions, and that would have ruined the entire fucking point.
Yeah.
The point is, like, ultimately, it kind of almost doesn't really matter what exactly happened, but the kid knows that he survived the train crossing through the cave, and like, well, okay, if I think I saw him, then maybe that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. It adds to it's basically his doubts personified.
But that gets to my ultimate point that, like, what is the film really concerned about on its way to the North Pole? Yeah, we're going to see Santa, the bell. But what is leading up to that? Because it has to be something leading up to that with purpose. There has to be a setup to the payoff. And the movie is about the kid being a good kid and caring about these new friends that he meets.
Yeah.
And expressing goodwill and willing to take risks for the sake of bringing other people happiness. And I think, besides everything I said about the hobo, that's, I think, like, to get him to start questioning, like, oh, well, if ghosts are real, maybe Santa's real. That's more like a metatextual explanation for why he believes in the end. But, like, the kind of more in-context reason that I think he starts believing in Christmas spirit is because Christmas spirit, to me, isn't, oh, Christmas is magical. Christmas is about, it's fucking freezing, and it's the year 6, and our family's poor, and we have no food, but at least we're here for each other. That's what most Christmas specials put forth, right? It's like, at least we're here for each other, no matter what happens. Christmas Story, right? Rudolph, things like that. It's about the togetherness. It's about being a good person, being a good member of your community, and getting paid off for it. That's what presents are. You don't get a present if you're a bad kid because you weren't respecting the people around you, you were selfish, right? And I don't really know why we've come up with Santa or Christmas magic, and it's kind of diluted, I think, what the real meaning of Christmas is, and buying presents for each other. It's about appreciation and goodwill. And I think the reason that the Polar Express got me to understand that is because the movie isn't about, oh, is Santa real? Well, here are the pros and cons. It's about this fucking nice kid that brings worth to other people's hearts.
Yeah, and I remember too, you asked me about like the conductor and like what's his deal and stuff like that, because you notice he's not like necessarily mean, but he's definitely by the book, no nonsense, very stern. Like, and he kind of gets upset at the kid for pulling the brake and stuff like that. But each and every time he does that, he does it for a good reason. First time is to let Billy on the train. Second time is to stop train from fucking plowing into the caribou and stuff like that. And he kind of like, he doesn't necessarily apologize, but he understands. He's like, when he pulls the train brake for the first time, he's like, oh, well, okay, just don't do that again, and we'll get on our way and stuff like that. And you notice too, he's kind of like uptight and more stern going to the pole, but as they're coming home, he's a bit calmer. He's a bit more relaxed, stuff like that, because he's not like pressured by the timestamp, because he's always looking at his watch. So he's like, oh, can't be late, can't be late, can't be late. When he's going home, he kind of has a bit more time to kill. He's a bit more relaxed. That's why he's kind of more personable on the way out, and that's why he kind of like actually, you know, thanks the kids and stuff like that, and talks to them about like that. He's a bit more calm and stuff like that.
Okay,
that's another detail I picked up on. Are you okay, Ryan?
I'm thinking about something in the movie.
There's a digression I want to get into because I'm gonna forget.
Yeah.
Because Amy's eyes are really pretty, but it half ties into my thesis statement on Polar Express. The nerd kid is the personification of the kid's doubts. At least before you get to the hobo, he's like the first more grounded version.
He's completely logical, no creativity.
And he doesn't really have an arc in the movie, but that's not the point. He's just a side character that is meant to like be someone in front of the MC to say out loud what the doubts in his head. I think.
I wouldn't say he doesn't have an arc per se. He does, but it's very small.
It's very small.
That's what I'm going to get into.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it an arc because it's not really over the course of the movie. He's like there at the beginning and there at the end.
Yeah.
You notice he takes a backseat in Act 2 in the North Pole.
He shows up occasionally, but it's not for much.
Yeah. But that's the reason he's put there in Act 1 is so that he can say what the main character's already thinking out loud. How does this even work? How is there a train going in the middle of the street? Yeah, shut up,
That's
kid.
the logical side of the kid's brain. I feel like the girl represents the kind of more...
the kindness in his soul versus the doubt and the logic.
And, like, not listening to reason 100% of the time.
And it's not that logic is bad. It's just that it's not really the point of what he's going through.
Yeah.
But what I really, really like about this kid is... they're leaving the North Pole, and because the main character puts the bell in the pocket with the hole, he loses it. And, you know, the whole time that this kid is coming back on the train, he could either be talking about, I can't believe Santa's real, everything I know is wrong, or he could be like, I don't know, I think this is some elaborate ploy and there are animatronics, but everyone notices that the kid loses the bell, like everyone's heads turns. And he does too. He's not the exception. He doesn't care about proving whether anything is real or not. He cares about trying to help the kid. And he says, like, man, I'm sorry, I hope things turn out for you. And it's because the main character displayed kindness, I think, like, for me. That's why this kid is done caring about, oh, I'm on a train, and where's the track?
Well, he had the scene where when Santa first comes, he's like picking the kid. He was like, you know, pick me, I want the first gift. And Santa basically just tells him, you know, have humility, have patience. He grounds him. He takes him down from like a 10 to like a 5. And after that, he's a bit more quiet. More
you see him there kind of sitting.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can see, it, like, he was like affected by it. He was like, wow. Okay, and he like learned from that. That's why, like you were saying, he's actively worried about the bell and stuff like that. He says bye to the kid. He's worried about him. He's sorry for him. Where I feel like if that didn't happen to him, he might not have been that way. He might not have acted that way.
Once Santa tells him to stop being a little shit, he starts reflecting on everything he's seen from the main character to begin with, and he's like, Oh, well, maybe that was the whole.
So
point
he
of this.
kind of has not like a redemption arc, but a character change.
It's an arc. It's
Yeah,
just, it's not
very
typical
small.
Act 1,
It's
2,
very
3.
sort of. What's on your mind, Ryan?
The problem that I'm seeing here is that
You two are stupid. I hate Christmas.
the elves were even just like, whatever, it's Christmas, let this one kid slide. Remember when they were looking at that one kid on the TV?
Yeah.
So they're very clearly like, even if he's a little shit, whatever. Like,
Well,
Are you talking about Billy or the nerd?
no. Because there's remember when they're in the room and they're kind of like watching the elves work?
And then they have like the naughty thing, and then it's like, oh yeah, the kid put thumb in his
I didn't
sister's
know.
hair.
Like,
I didn't
he's looking
do
up
it.
his parent, and
Well,
the elf just waves it off. He's just completely
I think he called.
like,
I think he called Santa though, because he picks up like the red phone, which I think is like the Santa one, because like he's like, what do you want to do, boss? You want to look at the big man? And he like picks up the phone. And he's like, we'll cut him a break because it's like Christmas. Anyways, like, but put him in check twice less.
Okay.
But like, was that like the thing that you were thinking about?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Where it was like, it just seemed like they were willing to give him a pass, even though he was a little shit. Like, I was like,
I mean, what he did wasn't like terrible.
no, I know.
And like you said, I think it was probably Santa that put the call, because like, again, I think they put in a call to him, and Santa was like, bro, I don't have time for this shit, just fucking give me a pass. It's fucking 5 minutes to midnight, man, we got shit to do. But yeah,
I think what I'm trying to say is, like, again, not that I can give everything in the film a pass, but I see that the core of the movie is about. I wouldn't necessarily say the characters of this movie are super strong, but like there's a through line, and you kind of understand why certain decisions were made. This is a parallel to my experience with Sonic 3. Why is this fucking happening to me?
yes, Ryan.
So here's how I first viewed the movie when I saw it. I saw it as Christmas is this magical thing, and you just need to believe in it because belief is good and all that. And while I am listening to you, and I agree with like a lot of your guys' points,
I think I know where you're going with this.
I think so too.
all right, then help me out. I don't know how to word what I'm saying.
I think my thing is like I was saying earlier, like I don't really, like in real life, not like in the Lord of the Polar. In real life, I don't really know where like this whole like, oh well, kids, there's this guy named Santa, and he goes all around the world, and Christmas magic is real, and flying reindeer.
It's a long story.
I don't because we don't do that for any other holiday where it's not really like a religious thing. It has basis in religion, but it's like a game of telephone. Like one kid starts out reading the Bible, and the other kid starts out making the Frosty the Snowman Rankin Bass special. It's like, how did we get here?
It's a long and very
think,
complicated story.
I think, especially because it's all made up and it has no basis in like folklore or religion or like real culture, quote unquote real culture, and you figure out Santa's not real when you're a kid, but as you know, every year throughout your entire life, you still see, oh, well, Christmas magic, and, well, it's really about, it feels so overbearing, and I think that, the Polar Express leans into it.
A little bit, yeah.
But it also has this strong emotional message about what I think Christmas is really about with community and kindness. But while that is still at the core of the movie, the Polar Express does have this whole magic set dressing.
Yeah.
Because it's like I said with Santa and the Hobo. Like, in the emotional reading, it's like, does it really matter? Like, is the hobo really important to me, or is it that, like, I'm here making friends? But if you read it in a literal way, it's, well, if ghosts are real, then maybe Santa's real, maybe Christmas is real, and that's what I can't get into.
You do have the scene with the conductor where he says, sometimes the most real things in the world are the things that we can't see.
Yeah.
And that hints to that kind of aspect of it.
But, like, Christmas music is so, like, loud and blaring, and flying reindeer and elves, and what the fuck is going on? Why can't this just be about characters caring for each other?
It takes a big runny dump at the end, and it's just fucking, it's over the fucking moon at that point. It's like, let's lean.
It does have to be. If it's a Christmas movie, it has to be, but, like...
It just kills it for me. It's like...
Am I right?
Here's what I would have liked. I would have liked if there was no city. Like, as stupid as that sounds. As much as I liked all that tech and weird shit, I'm a fan of that shit. I would have liked if they approached just a simple workshop. Looks warm, like a warm hut.
Yeah.
And Santa walks out and goes to each of the kids and says, "What do you want for Christmas?" That's really all I would have wanted, because it's a simple and believable concept.
I feel like the way they designed the North Pole is the fact that's like, well, you know, there's billions of kids, you gotta have a fuck ton of elves.
I know.
Stuff like that.
But like, if you want to lean into the whole magical element, then that's kind of what I feel.
Because this is gonna sound so weird when I say it. The magic of Christmas comes from people. So when you see more grounded versions of Santa that aren't worried about, well, how do you explain that he gets around the world and all these kids?
Yeah.
When it's about who Santa is as a person and what he represents for society's values.
When you get into the technological aspect, I'm thinking, oh, so did they get this from Radio Shack back in the day? Like,
right.
I'm like, okay, when you get back into it, I'm like, how does this not show up on satellites? I'm like, what are you doing here? Like,
start asking questions because the film is trying to answer questions. It's the
50s. Satellites haven't been invented yet.
Yeah.
But I'm just like...
Well, I mean, Sputnik, but whatever.
You know what I mean. I
know what you mean.
I'm approaching that area where I'm like, come on, like...
Because
when you have one concept... First of all, a train...
Yeah, I know.
Let me finish.
Yes.
There's a train that takes you to the North Pole when there's a goddamn sleigh that can take you around the world in 60 minutes. And there's helicopters and shit that deliver this fat asshole's presence.
It makes it less timeless.
It does.
But that's what... That's what's weird about it to me in my mind.
The setting is 50s, and they had to build on that. They can't have, like,
I'm just
modern
saying my brain sees that
and computers, and, like, it was like an airship even, and stuff like that. It's like they had to make it, like, a timeless aspect.
But that's not what he's saying.
Here's the point. Here's my point, though. It creates little points in the movie where... Just like in Sonic 3, where, like, it goes in your mind, and then you kind of, like, file it down for later. Like, where, when that Sonic the Hedgehog moment happens, and I'm, like, so happy that they're, like, teaming up, and they're Super Sonic and Super Shadow, and then the spanking happens, I'm like, that kind of killed me a little bit.
Yeah. What he's saying is...
But I kind of still get back into it, though. Because, like, I'm able to tuck that one away and enjoy it. And, like...
The Polar Express lingers on everything.
It lingers, but I was also able to do that. It just was kind of harder. When it was that late in the movie, I'm like, okay, that's another one.
You're thinking that his problem with the TV surveillance room is that, oh, well, it's the 50s, so they have to justify... That's not what he's saying. He's saying, why do we need to justify at all that Santa can see every kid?
Okay.
Why does it have... It's not that it's TVs.
If you're going to lean into the fact that...
The film is trying to answer this question that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whether it...
Like, how does Santa do this? How does Santa do that? That kind of thing?
We start on a train and we end up in, like, modern day.
If it's anything...
Why do we do that?
If it's anything besides invisible magic or psychic intuition, it comes off as like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So
it's not the point.
So it's the fact that, like, some settings and, like, some uses are, like, too grounded, rather.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like if you're gonna lean into the whole magic of Christmas, the fact that there's all this technology that clearly supports Santa and his business, it's like,
because see, like,
why?
I asked myself, like, well, when Santa was delivering presents in the year 1000. Did he have all these TVs?
Exactly.
When did that... See, it gets me asking a question that doesn't fucking matter. Santa matters. TVs don't.
Yeah, like, the tech isn't important.
Quote list.
The tech isn't important.
Santa matters. TVs don't.
Shut up.
That's a good one. I like that. That needs to be on, like, a shirt. It's good. It is a good one. But no, I do understand that aspect. And, yeah, that has me, like, thinking... sometimes as well, and stuff like that. Like, have you guys ever seen Arthur Christmas?
I would like to see it.
So,
it looks fun. The
way that works is that, like, there is, like, a lot of very high tech that helps them out and stuff like that during Christmas. And it's like you said, it's like, what did the Santa do from, like, 1345? What did he use? Like, fucking, like, magic witch's orb? It's just like a wooden carriage or something like that, you know. It does like, I don't know.
A crystal ball.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Whatever. witches' cauldrons, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like, yeah, I do understand how you're like asking that question. It's like, why are you incorporating this, what was at the time modern technology, when you have magical elements that could just supersede that,
And-
more or less? I do understand that statement.
The answer ends up being, oh, this would be cool to animate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they literally just did that to flesh out the North Pole.
Like I said, this movie would have worked for me had I been like younger,
Yeah,
and I'd probably have more
That's
of a
why
nostalgia twist on it. But like as an adult approaching this, I'm just like, I can't buy into it.
yeah. I feel like that's why I never really, to be honest, I never really thought about that aspect. But then again, I did grow up watching this. So as a kid, I was like, oh, that's how Santa does. Oh, that's how the elves do that. You know, stuff like that. And like,
Like I can make my nitpicks.
I didn't care.
I can make my nitpicks about like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and shit, but like that's a really old thing, and I'm just like, yeah, I grew up with it. I get it. I get it. It's a comical.
I'm the
type
same
thing.
way with
And
this
it
movie.
feels timeless.
It does, yeah.
Like I can make the whole like, oh, how did the abominable snowman get it? It doesn't fucking matter.
The Polar Express is bogged down, even though it has a lot of highs, because it has an emotional story at its core, and that's really cool, and it gets bogged down by a lot of like the set dressing.
I
don't
was
know.
much more interested in the little. I don't even know if she had a name. The little black girl who was just.
She doesn't have a name.
She was. Because at the end, she has the thing on her ticket, lead. It's like, yeah, she was a leader throughout the movie. She was more of a leader guiding everyone through, like, to be like, let's push forward, let's do this, let's go through, like, we're not done yet. And it's like,
she kind of has an arc too, because back here, I'll come back to this, but
I'll come.
back to the set dressing thing. I understand that, but I feel like as a criticism, it's kind of more in like. It's nitpicky for me, personally.
no, I get it, but I'm just saying, like, as an adult,
It's
your
like kinda
nitpicky
stretchy.
brain starts going.
I know. Again, seeing this as a kid, you've only seen it twice, and I've grown up watching it, so I can understand your
I
sentiment.
may come around one day, who knows? But I'm just like, based on my one viewing of this, that's what I got.
Yeah, again, yeah. But back to the girl. She has a kind of like an arc of her own, because you know how there's like scenes where she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna deliver," do this for whatever reason.
Deliver this hot chocolate to the kid.
Yeah, and Chris is always like, "Are you sure?" And she kind of like has a moment where she just pauses for like twice, and she kind of like has her own doubts
Before
like
she's solidified.
exactly. And like at the last scene, she's like, "Absolutely." She has like her thing where she builds up her own kind of self-confidence.
She's true to what she believes.
Exactly. She's like 100% committed. It's like, she's gone past doubting herself and her abilities, and like she's like actually she's 100% confident now. I feel like that whole like being a leader aspect led into that.
Oh yeah.
And
So-
that's I like that kind of thing of the movie.
When the main character and her are stopping the train from derailing on the ice, it's like when Super Sonic and Super Shadow are fighting all of the Guardian units of Nations robots in space. And when they're tugging on the guy's beard to come for Caribou, hashtag come for Caribou, subscribe, like, and comment.
No.
It's like Jim Carrey self-test spanking himself. Like, there's an emotional story that I like here, and it's being told, but they keep cutting back to this stuff that doesn't matter. What is?
Thanks for watching the podcast.
Okay, they don't know what happened, so he got me in a chokehold and farted on my ass. And that's what Christmas is really about. If you're Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey.
Thank you for that, Ryan.
But see, that's distracting from the emotional core of this MoonFriends Talking Space episode. That Sonic 3 and the Polar Express helped me to understand why we like and don't like films. It's because when you combine to the core of a film's emotional ethos, you can appreciate things that are even flawed. But when you can't buy into the emotional core of a film, be it the way scenes are shot or characters being written on and off, it distracts you from what matters, and then you can only latch onto the other things that are also making you upset. Never fucking do that to me again. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Late. but much like the nerd kid with his ticket at the end, I hope all of you live and learn. Hang on the edge of tomorrow.
Because I can never stop shitting on Sonic's grave. Why did they even bother with Live and Learn if they only end up playing the same 15 seconds of it over and over?
Because Paramount forbid us be happy.
Like, even if they weren't gonna play any of the lyrics or like have any vocals, like we never got to the chorus. Play the chorus of the song. That's the best part. The intro riff is not the best part. It's the most iconic, and I get why everyone memes it. That's the first 15 seconds. It's foreplay. It's getting to the best part.
Like and subscribe. Any last comments, I guess?
I wish I were dead.
You're getting coal.
I wish Drew was too. Good night, everybody!